at 7 which is Eastern Standard Time. So let's see. But how's everything else, Mike?
Just tired. But I did find a little cheat code, man. So, have you heard of Blinkist?
No.
So I was gonna send this to you. So you know like Audible, right? You got Audible and you got audiobooks, right?
Hold
So
on,
this
give me one
Blinkist.
second because he's saying he's here, and I don't see him here.
Oh my goodness. Now people get to actually witness what I deal with when I deal with you. Like they will actually legit get to know what it's like to deal with you. Let me see.
Is the one from the invitation he asked me, and I said, yeah.
Let's see.
The
I sent it to
same.
my Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or just, yeah.
Yeah. I sent it to him in Messenger right now.
He said,
This
I'm
is stuff I
here.
have to.
He, he's lost. All right, so tell me about Blinkist.
Blinkist. So yeah, it's
Oh,
like you can
Blinkist.
get yeah, it'll give you like a book and it will chop it down to like the key points. So only the
Okay.
highlights of it, and it's like 15 to 20 minutes. You can read a book. So
Really?
yeah, I read like four of them already. So one of the ones I read today this morning while I was getting ready. So that's why like it was like 15 minutes. Was Tim Ferriss's 4 hour work week. So
Okay. What is it, like Cliff Notes?
pretty much, it's pretty much in a sense like, hey, here's like the
It's a
most like condensed
summary.
version.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, but like the reason why like actually I like that is I was reading another book. I forgot what it's called, but it's like an Audible, and like I was reading it, where I was listening to it, and they kept talking the same thing. I was like, okay, cool, I get your point. I just want to learn the tips you're talking about for meditation and for like being self aware. And they weren't doing that, so I don't know, no clue what that meant. You know, I was like, so I was getting annoyed with it, right? And so that's why I was kind of glad that I was able to find this Blinkist and then go from there. So that's kind of what I was happy about on that part. So I was like, okay, cool. You know, so we got those.
Sweet, man.
I'm trying to see if
Who
he's in so I can let him in, but I don't see him. So
who put you onto that?
my boy, so he's the co-host for the other one that I'm
Oh,
doing.
okay.
So yeah, so he did that with me. It was pretty dope. Like I said, I liked it a lot. I like that idea. Getting books again. I'm obsessed with information, so if I can anyhow, anyway,
Yeah.
learn more, and I just don't have that much time. So reading a 4 hour Audible used to be easier, like in a week or two. Now it's like a month, month and a half. Here he is. To 2 months.
Hey!
Oh,
What's going on? We were
bad,
having
bro.
technical difficulties.
Yeah, I guess so. My bad, bro. Sorry about that,
Ah,
Mike.
you good, man.
Nah, you
I was
good.
telling Izzy about it. Like I was like, man, I should have put stand or Central Time instead of Eastern. And then it got up to interpretation, and then I was like, I'm too tired. Just
It's all
So,
right, bro.
so now that I see the nice banner behind you of your Meet the Simmons, well,
This is our studio in the making, our spare bedroom upstairs. So, yeah, my wife's
nice.
like, "Weren't you?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot." Yeah. Eventually, when we start our YouTube stuff, we'll be on here.
yeah, nice, man. So, welcome to the podcast again. You are joining us again. We had a great time on our last episode. And of course, we wanted to bring you back for the live session just to talk some more about the book. Just have general questions that I would like to pick your brain on since I've been a single guy for 40 years. and, and, just have a great conversation amongst three veterans, three friends, and everything else. So just to show you, I'm enjoying on sipping on some 1792.
Oh, you did up your game, didn't you? Okay.
Oh, you as I got older, my liquor got more matured with me as well. I want to start off. I want to start off with, and I know, I sort of cut you off the last time with holding it for today. So I want to start off with stories. You and I have been knowing each other since 1998, so 20 something years. You and I have been fortunate enough to keep in contact and still talk and find ourselves back to just to meeting and hitting each other up and whatnot. So I have two stories in particular that have stuck with me. Well, three. The third one, I don't know if I'll mention it. I might, depending on how many drinks I have. But there's there's two that really sticks with me the most. So I know you mentioned the glasses. So I want you to share the story that you were talking about with the glasses.
So I don't know where we were coming back from. I know it was a club. I know it was a club. I think Kazakhstan or something like that. And so Izzy had discovered his favorite drink, tequila sunrise at the time, and he had a few too many. So like I said, I don't drink, never have, just so I was always a giddy. So I had this Mercedes, man. I had got this girl.
Beautiful.
It was a
Beautiful car.
for like nothing. And man, this fool is. I think he was out of the sunroof. Out of the sunroof. Izzy had these big old glasses. They were like Mario. You seen Mars Blackman like Spike Lee? They were like huge. Get back in the car. He's like, oh, he's out the sunroof yelling something. I don't know. I'm king of the world or something like that. Because I think we had watched King of New York. And and Autobahn. So the Autobahn, there's really no speed limit on Autobahn. So I'm going at least 90 miles an hour down the Autobahn. And the glass is just right off his face. And so he starts like, oh, you gotta those glasses are gone, bro. I'm going 90 miles an hour. Those glasses are going. Yo, my glasses, yo, stop the car, Marcus. Stop the car. I'm like, no, man, I'm not stopping the car. And I think Rory was with us. Was Rory with us?
Yes, yes. So you did stop the car, believe it or not. You pulled over on the side of the Autobahn. But it was pitch black. It was like 2, 3 in the morning or something like that. And I decide I need to find my glasses because those are my only pair. I didn't have no other pair. And I'm fucking blind as shit. I can't see without my glasses. So when Marcus pulled over, I come out of the car and I start walking down the Autobahn. Marcus and Rory were like, yo, what the fuck? Like, get in the car. There's, God forbid something happened. And I was so adamant. I was like, no, I need to find my glasses. So here I am, blind as a bat, can't see in the dark, and I'm fucking looking for my glasses on the Autobahn that we were going at least 200 miles per hour, man, because there's no speed limit. There's no regulated speed limit out there. But yeah, I decided to stick my head out the window to get some air, and as soon as I did that, the glasses went flying, man, and my reflexes were no good. I tried to thought I could grab them, but there was no way I was getting them. But oh man, and that stuck with me. What's another one? Can you remember another one? Me and you. It was just me and you on this one.
I don't know. I think one of the funny things that sticks out about the story is I actually remember what you were wearing. So Izzy had on khakis and a Ralph Lauren chaps. Who wears chaps now, man?
Hey, it's coming back. If people are able to bring back Champion, Champion. I used to wear Champion back in the days. If people are bringing that back, trust me, chaps is gonna come back. Yeah. So let me tell you the other story. So me and Marcus, thank God for Marcus being the DD, and thank God for him not drinking. So me and Marcus, and it helped that I didn't have a license, right? So there was no way for me to drive either. Being a kid from New York, I didn't have a license to wait later on. So I was like, my answer was, who wants to drive? I was like, well, I can't because I have no license. Yeah. So Marcus was always the big brother, like, don't worry, I got it. Everybody get in the car, because he would monitor us and make sure that we didn't get too crazy or anything like that, which we appreciated. So me and Marcus decided to go out. We went, I think, to Luxembourg. I think it might have been Scott's Pub or something like that. As we're leaving, again, late in the night, early in the morning, we're driving back. All of a sudden, it starts raining. So the rain is coming down hard. Marcus says, okay, it's raining, so let me go ahead and turn the windshield wipers on. Click, no windshield wipers. So I mean, it's almost like hurricane wind, gusting rain. You can't see nothing through the window. So Mark is like, damn, what the hell? So he clicks, nothing. Click, nothing. So me and Marcus come up with a great idea that he pulls his window down, I roll my window down, and we stick our hands out and we start flicking the windshield wiper back and forth to clean the rain. And as Marcus is driving, I will swap it to him, he'll wipe it off. He'll go swap it over to me, and we did that back and forth. And then at one point, our hands, so we'll come back inside, warm them up, and then we'll go back out. Hit the windshield wiper, he'll hit it back to me. Hit the, oh my God. And I think they were like our drive, no? 45 minutes to an hour. Oh my God. We did that for an hour and a half all the way till we got back to the dorms.
We were so dumb and young, man. All it was a nut that had come loose up under there. All I had to do was like flip the cover up and twist it down with my hand. Like, I went to the auto place and the guy was like, "Hey man, something's wrong with my windshield wiper." He looks at me like I'm the dumbest dude in the planet. Looks at the cover and like cranks it down. Oh. Man, I think you ruined your shirt. I ruined my shirt.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was hilarious, man.
We didn't know what we were doing, man. This is a bunch of kids. It's amazing. Thank God that we didn't get in. Oh, this is before cell phone. We had no way of communicating. It was just us. It was just us out there, and we didn't know halfway going. It's like by the grace of God, we didn't get hurt or something like that because we didn't really know.
But you know, have a sense of direction. Because once you left base and you got on the auto, you had to remember what exit things were. Because again, we didn't have a GPS or anything like that. Yeah, there was MapQuest to print out the map and everything, but we didn't care to do that. We were just like, or we were either following somebody, but we knew enough to like, okay, remember that, remember this exit. Yeah. We could. We would show up in the club, like we would roll deep. It'd be like, 7, 8 of us going up in there, and we would just talk. And the first thing we would say, or at least what I knew, was "spreken the English." That's pretty much what I knew. You know what I'm saying? And they said, "Yeah, I speak English." If not, it's just keep buying drinks and hope for the best. You know what I'm saying?
So you weren't with me tonight. The dude called me a cotton picker at the pub. Dude, so
I heard about that. Kevin told me about that.
Called me a cotton picker. So we met this African guy, and we were kind of hanging out, and all the girls, you know how it was. All the girls were around us, and I don't know who was with me, but this dude, and so I asked him where he's from in Africa. He told me. And he was like, "What do you call yourself in America?" And I said, "We call ourselves African Americans, right?" So he's like, "You're not African." I was like, "Well, that's what we call ourselves. Like, we're from Africa." "No, you're not. You are a cotton picker." I was like, "A what?" And I said, and I didn't say just what,
Right.
It was like N-word what? Because backing out.
Wow.
Go from 10 to 10. And so he's like, "You heard what I said. You call yourself African. You're not African. Look at you. Look at your face. You ain't even look African. You're just black." And I was like, "Okay, fine, whatever." And he was like, "You guys are cotton pickers." So I was like, "Hey, you gonna stop calling me a cotton picker? That's gonna stop." And he was like, "Well, that's what you are." I cocked back. I was in mid swing, and somebody caught my arm. And I grabbed, like trying to choke him out. Man, this dude was crazy.
Was it Rory? Was it Rory that was with you?
It may have been, but Rory wouldn't be strong enough to stop me. So whoever it was, because man, I was about to put this dude to sleep. You hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, we went there. It was that same pub we always went.
Yeah, it was pub.
Remember Kevin Klein?
Yeah.
Tall white guy. I think it may have been him. I think it may have been him. Was like, "Hey, because I was about to lay this dude."
Yeah, because I know there were would leave without me because I worked night shift. I rotated shifts, and I remember that incident happened. You, Rory, Pelkey, Kevin, and a bunch of other people. So because I found out about it because I used to live with Rory. We split our dorm rooms because we only shared the bathrooms. Came home and told me about that. But I'm probably glad that I wasn't there because it probably would have been, you and I would have went crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because I would have had alcohol in me, and Yeah, and we would have been in trouble.
Do you remember the first? You remember the first time we met? Well, we were hanging out. We just kind of got to know each other, and we walked into the BX one day, and this was the first time that I realized like that people, everybody's raised differently. You know, I'm raised in the deep south, always taught to be polite, not disrespect you, but be polite. And so this guy walks past, he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And you just look the other way, and I was like, "You not gonna speak to that man?" He was like, "Man, I don't know him. I don't know that guy. I'm from Brooklyn." I was
I don't know you. If I
like,
don't know you, I'm gonna say was. But it's funny as we get older how much we have changed. Because now, if somebody says, "Oh, how's it going? I'm doing," you know what I'm saying? Like my
yeah,
mindset and everything has definitely different from the young
I thought that was a. Oh
of
yeah,
Brooklyn.
man. But I mean, you
What
come from
really,
Brooklyn.
what really connected us was basketball because we used to play a lot. We were like Stockton,
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
played in the intramural. It was a lot of fun. I remember that; those games were good.
People always underestimate Izzy because Izzy was a little almost, you know, what, about 5'7"? What, you about 5'7"? On a
Five
good
nine.
day. On a good day. Five- See, he say 5'9", so that means 5'7". So, but dude, when he had handles though, and people always underestimate him, but he had handles out of this world, man. So man, and it was he made it easy on me, man. All I had to do was just I was everybody else he
Right.
played with, so he just throw it in the paint. That was it.
Yeah, but you were asked for your build and everything else because the way we did it was Marcus give it and he'll be gone. All I had to do was just throw it to him and let him do it. But I remember that we were, but I remember talking so much shit. Like I 6'2", 210. I mean, I used to tell you can't hold me. I'm 6'5", 210. You're like, oh, but look at the score. I don't care. I'm losing, but I'm going. Just to have fun, man. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
we had some good games, man. We killed it back then.
Yeah. I think Germany was like one of my top assignments. I love being at. I saw the majority of the people that we were with, which is kind of like everybody look people from '98, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
keep in
Oh
touch
yeah.
with the crew we used to hang out with at least. But
Yeah. I
it's
mean,
just
most of them are friends on Facebook, and old
yeah,
and fat, and all of us, all of us.
and that's why I'm grateful for because it's like
Yeah.
you have the ability now to more often see what's going on in people's lives with the pictures and everything. But there's one more story, but I think I'll say that one whenever we story on.
I already know what it is. I already know what it is. I think it involves a gas mask. I think, and I think
No, not
does it involve?
no, not that one. It involves the one with the knock on the door.
Oh, God, boy!
You remember that?
I was going off that Nyquil, man. I was going off the night. I had, yeah. We this that that's definitely not YouTube friendly.
That one was when it's just adding it up and everything.
Actually, I'll say this: I ran into that individual again, probably about it was
Really?
years later. I was in the grocery store, Walmart, actually, and I saw
Wow.
that individual. I was like, "Oh snap, that's that individual." And I just went the other way. I ain't want no person. I was with my family. I was like, you know what?
Damn.
Nope. She had her family. I had my family. I said, look,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Oh
don't
my
know why
god.
I don't know why he was here. I don't know how that happened.
Right.
He saw her and I was like, oh snap. And I immediately remember the knock. No, no, I'm good. I'm good.
It's a small world. It really.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk some more about your book, man, because I have a long conversation on the episode on the last episode. Um, but first, let me wish Mrs. Simmons a happy birthday. So let me Mike say
Appreciate it,
happy
man.
birthday.
Yeah, nice.
I think one thing when I was reading your book, that I really was like, hostile with the archetypes that you were writing about. But the two that I saw that I was like, how can this be toxic? Was the because those are always like positive sort of representation of men because that's be whenever we have a family, when we have a wife, girlfriend, whatever. Like we want to be a provider. We want to be for our to make sure that our family has a roof, a head, food on the table. Same coach, the coach. I there to give you advice, else, make sure your kids succeed and everything else. So explain to us how that was a toxic masculinity. Start with the provider, the coach, whichever one, and explain it
Okay.
to those that read it. Because again, like I said, for me it was. But then when I read your book on those chapters, I never would have really thought of it because everybody doesn't see that as a, especially
Mm-hmm.
if women are like, yo, it's awesome. That's a check. You know what I'm saying? That's a check on the checklist. So explain to us like provider, coach. How is that a toxic masculinity, man?
Well, those are the two archetypes that I get the most pushback on. Honestly, people have asked me that same question again because a lot of men don't know what their role is as a man. So we go into these kind of stereotypical roles of what masculinity is. So the provider is a great example. So the provider is goes to work. He's a hardworking man, does whatever he can for his family, but he misses the component of emotional being there, being present. So you ever met a guy? He talks about his mom with all this fondness, and he talks about her with all this, love and affection, and he mentions his daddy like, yeah, my dad worked hard. That's kind of all he says because there's
Right.
no in there him to reach back to. So his father is just some distant thing, this person that was not really there, and literally all he did was provide a food, clothing, shelter. That was it. And so what happens is if you don't have a role model growing up for a young man or a young woman, you're bound to find yourself in a bad position. At some point, it's going to catch you. And
Right.
so provider-led homes are children who are not emotionally equipped to handle life. So the boys generally don't know how to uh, be men. They don't know how to emotionally connect with their children. The children are just the little creatures crawling around the house that they got to feed and clothe. But they don't really know how to connect with them. They don't really know how to say, hey, let's go play catch, or hey, what's going on with you? They leave all that to the wife. And what happens to with the wife is that she feels overwhelmed, and a woman can't
Right.
raise a man. So the boys end up trying to find some kind of what does masculinity look like, and the girls end up not knowing what a good man looks like. So it creates the dynamic we have in our society right now. Provider-led homes are they look great, they look like they're in order, they're nice. Mom's there, dad's there. They mean vacation every once in a while. But the truth of the matter is that there's really no emotional connection to the masculine in that home. He's checked out. He's totally off the grid. All he's doing is working, make sure the lights stay on, make sure there's food in the fridge, and that's it. We all know, as grown men, that our father provides so much more than that to his family. So
Hmm.
if you're missing that component of it, emotional connection and guide mentorship, then what are you going to produce in that home besides a hardworking person? That's it.
Right.
So it makes it a very, very dangerous situation, and that's why I consider him to be toxic.
Gotcha. So there definitely needs to be a balance then. Like you said, you can't just read and then feel like that's sufficient. And using that hey, I'm home as not to be more lovable, more caring, show you said show more emotions and everything else. So talk to me about the coach. What about the coach?
So that's the coach gets on my nerves a lot too, man. The provider I understand, the coach I don't understand. I know why he does what he does, but the coach is selfish, for one thing. The coach thinks he's going to will his children into doing, going to will them to success. Instead of looking at his children and saying, hey, I'm going to help this kid be the best version of himself or herself and help them be what they want to be, not what I want to be. They say, no, I'm going to just browbeat you like a coach would. We all play sports at some point. Coaches are great. Coaches yell at you, they get you in check. You don't need that type of energy from your father. Coach
Right.
for a short period of time, and they can do that. They can yell at you. They can do all those things to get production out of you, and it works. But it doesn't with the father-son, father-daughter dynamic because you become a tyrant. You become something to be feared, unapproachable. Like, and you don't want that dynamic with your kids. Trust me. I have, like I said, I have boys, I have all teenagers now, be 15. You don't want a dynamic where your child feels like they can't talk to you because they're scared of disappointing you. And so
Right.
what happens is it creates that wall between them. There's so many movies about that kind of stuff too. You know, you see in the movies all the time a dad who's just
Hmm.
emotionally yelling at the son, you gotta be better, you gotta do better. Why can't you be more like your brother? It builds that wall between them, and as on, the kid literally just leaves home and doesn't come back. And so it's not a good thing. The coach, he has his heart's in the right place, but he can't get over the hump of being making things about himself. And so when you make things about yourself when you're a father, generally bad things happen. You're not going to have the outcome that you want because it's extremely difficult when your child is different than you. My older son is almost, personality wise, almost a carbon copy of me. My middle son, completely different. Completely different person. So my connection to him is different. I have to meet him where he's at. I have to find out what he's into and all the things like that. So he doesn't. My middle son could care less about sports. He can care less.
Right.
He'll play basketball every once in a while. He don't watch sports on TV. He don't do anything like that. But he loves computers. So he and we connect on that level. I'm not trying to make him into like I'm so great, make him into a mini me. No, I
Right.
meet him where he's at, and I love him where he's at. I love him for the person that he's becoming. So the coach doesn't do that. He wants to mold you and shape you into what he wants you to be, or what he thinks is best for you. And that when you do what they want to be, or their own internal what they know internally about themselves, you create dissonance. So it's never good.
'Cause you can see that I've seen shows like dads, trophy mom want is their children to be in the pro league, and that they yell at them, they sort of force to practice, forced to do this and that causes the children to lose interest in that sport that they claim that they love. A lot of people, a lot of kids will fall out on it because at the same time you got to let them, be a kid. You know what I'm saying? So if at some time they don't want to play the sport no more, then they don't want to play the sport no more. It's not fair that the parents try to live vicariously through them. Like, okay, dad, and I didn't make it to the NBA, but I got a good chance with my son, so let me push as hard as I can, not realizing that the push is gonna sort of have him deflect from you and want to done because like you said, one, I go to the gym, the coach is yelling at me, can't make a layup, and then I got to come home and deal with dad yelling at me because I don't know how to make like that's much. You know what I'm saying? So I can see that how there's a disparity between that type of, which sucks because it's I don't have kids, but I'm sure it must be hard where you're not sounding like you're yelling at them, where your advice is coming across as sincere, like I'm trying to help you, versus it coming across like again. That is not yelling. Yeah, that is just trying to give you some tips, give you some pointers. But because the way it comes across, sometimes I'm done with this because all that likes to do is yell at me all the time. And I've seen that. I've seen parents try to come across to help out, and these kids are like, "Oh, they're yelling." No, they're not yelling. It's just sometimes the tone is not the way it needs.
Well, for me, having two boys and a little girl, my question always is, hey, if you're gonna play this sport, then you gotta be all in. If you're not
Mm-hmm.
all in, we walk away, no problem. If you start it, you gotta finish it. But I'm not gonna be I'm dads at the game yelling. Even the moms yelling. The coach yelling at the referee, yelling at the kid. I sit there, I say nothing. I take notes in my mind, and then when we get home or in the car, I sit them down, say, hey, on this play, did you think about this? You think about that? Not just sports, but these guys, the coach is universal. It ain't just sports.
Right.
It's everything. Why you supposed to be a doctor? Well, I want to be a poet. I want to be a writer. No, you're a doctor, and they're gonna push them into that, and so it really makes kids have a and they have a struggle. We saw the other side of that in the Air Force, where kid comes in and they hate authority. Their dad was an authoritarian parent, and their mom was an authoritarian parent, and they like, I have to deal with that, and I don't want to deal with that. And so it's really important that parents understand the kids by not allowing them just to be who they are and letting things happen naturally. It's okay to push your kid. If you're slacking, like, hey, do you really want to do this? Well, yeah. Well, you can't do this. It's okay to give pointers. Those things are fine. It's more like what's your motivation? The coach's motivation is himself. It's not to motivate the child. It's for him. And I think that's the part that makes it hard. That's what makes him toxic.
Like I've been events with parents. All of a sudden, they're all Phil Jackson. Like they all know, and they know the game better than the coach on the sideline. You know what I'm saying? And I just laugh because these parents have really no idea the game or anything like that. But they feel like because my son is involved or my daughter's involved in it, like all of a sudden the gurus sport. I said it's hilarious, man. Like I sit there and I just laugh because they, like you said, they're yelling, and I'm embarrassed. Damn, whose parent is that? That's Izzy's mom yelling at everybody. Like, chill, mom, because I don't want you to come to the games no more. You know what I'm saying? But you're absolutely right. I think open is definitely a big proponent in a relationship with your kids and everything else, even with your spouse, whatnot. Because you sometimes words like depend across. So it's definitely
you can even coach your spouse. Like that happens.
Absolutely.
Too. So a lot of guys make this mistake. So, and Mike, you might want to listen up. A lot of guys
listen, Mike.
a lot of guys make this mistake. What I've learned in almost 22 years of marriage is that probably 75% of the time, my wife just wants to talk. She just wants to talk. She don't want, like, immediately as me and we go into problem solving mode. She comes home from work, she's like, let me tell you what this heifer did at work. And just
yeah, right.
Get it all out because she needs to get it out. Talking, I'm like, okay. And then I get a word in, I'm like, okay, this is what you should do. You should do this, you should do that, you should do that, you should go talk to this person. And she's like, I didn't really want you to, fix the problem. I just want to talk,
Right.
Fine. So what I do now with my wife is, and then I go, do you want advice? I put it back in her. Cause I'm not gonna waste my voice, my time, and most times she'll say, I just want to talk. Okay, yeah. I'm off the hook. I'm fine. And she's even gotten so good that she'll be like, same thing. I just want you to listen. I can do that. I got 2 ears for a reason. I can listen. Fine. And then sometimes she will say, what would you do in this situation? What would you do? Because she knows people, and I have people that work up under me and employees. She knows that, so she'll go, well, what would you do as a manager in this situation? Okay, this is what a lot of men fall to that coach role. You gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And it makes it seem like you tell them what to do, but you're not really giving them any room to voice their emotions, their feelings. So a lot of wives come to marriage kind of frustrated because they're married to a coach. And men are some women can be coaches too. Women can be coaches too. They have a tendency to like, okay, I need you. Can you go get some milk for dinner? Okay, fine. Well, when you go down the aisle, take a left and do this, and make sure you pay for it. And then I don't need all that. I'm a big boy. Right home behind. I can go get the milk. So a lot of women tend to do that too. So they fall to that role of coach also. Man.
Right. I think one have to make sure that you're paying attention. Because I've seen where one is talking and the other one is like on the phone and just going and the person's like, yo, what's going on here? Like, I want your ears, I want to borrow your ears, and the other person's like, and then they'd be like, but why are you getting mad? Like, because I'm wasting my time talking to you, not listening to me. Like, but I was listening, but they want that, give me the eye. Give me, the show that you are actually paying attention. Right? So talk to me about Superman. Talk to me about the archetype? Because I know in the book you, because you are a big, that's one of the most highest men usually, sort of and everything else. So talk to me about Superman. Was that? What do you mean by super?
But that that was me in a nutshell. You nothing can hurt you. You're impervious to emotion, and you literally are Superman. And so it's this as men because we don't. Vulnerability means weakness. Weakness means you can hurt me. Being hurt means I'm self-esteem. It's going to lower the way I feel about myself. And so Superman must die. That chapter out as a whole, what has been done to us and what we've done to ourselves is that we put ourselves. There is no way that we can live up to expectations. And so we gotta kill Superman. You have to literally kill because it's not going to work well for you in your marriage, your career, with your kids. You have to let the drawbridge down at some point. You have to. It is hard for us men because there really are no spaces for men to really. There's really no spaces for men to really express, without being shamed. Shaming language is a woman's number one weapon. She can't fight you, but she can shame the heck out of you. And I don't think women understand how damaging. When they bring you something and they try to open up to you, and, oh, you have feelings. Oh, I hurt your feelings. I didn't mean to. Stuff like that. They wonder why that man. They come to me and they're like, he won't talk to me. You know why he won't talk to me? Because every time he talks to you, you shame him. So there's no communication there. Men are not going to open up unless we feel safe. Unless we feel like I don't need to go tell everybody I was. That's between us. Why you telling your girlfriend? Yeah, he's on that crying. I got mind your business. That ain't between us. So a lot of women shoot themselves in the foot because the Superman persona is really what. Think about it. So
yeah.
This one, man, because you've been married for a little while. Do you think that your wife loves you more now, or loves when you first got married?
Oh, for sure now. Like,
Yeah.
oh, for sure now. Like, what I mean? Like, the difference, because, when we first got together, I was divorced. So I already had that idea, right? And then I wanted to settle down. But at the same time frame, like, I never, like, adapted to, like, the whole married life in a sense. And so we got married. And, when the things you're talking about now, like, some of those things, like, I'll tell her, like, hey, I'll tell her, like, one of the things I've been struggling is staying present. So I'm like, hey, I'm trying this. I'm like, hey, these are my areas I need to work on. Because even what you were talking about earlier, my therapist, I was talking to my therapist last year, and she was like, I was telling her kind of like, like that. She's like, well, does your wife even want you to solve the problem? And it, like, to me, it was a light bulb. Like, I didn't know that was an option. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know that was a question. I was like, you have a problem, you fix it. That's just how I'm bred. That's how I think.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I even forget to even ask that question. Like, hey, do you want me to solve it for you? You want me to fix it? Because I'm just ready. And I'm here. And the sad part is, I think a lot of it too is like when I hear it, I'm not hearing the problem, and a lot of it is the dyslexia as well. I mean, but I'm like, okay, give me that. Okay, I think I already have the solution, and now I'm just building the solution up instead of like, here's the middle. And so, I mean, she's giving me this, and I'm like, boom, real quick to respond. I'm like hurrying her up just so I can be like, okay, cool. Hey, step one, step two. Okay, let's look at this. And I mean, it's a big issue.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of our DNA, the problem solving. That those 4 P's: provide, protect, procreate, problem solve. That's part of who we are. But like become more refined because the truth of the matter is simply this: your wife started liking you not because of what you were. You were nice looking to her. She liked the way you talk. She liked the way you carried yourself. This is how long lasting marriages last. As time goes on, because she came to, and that's what men need. We have to women. If a woman can love you and not respect you, we see But if a woman does not respect you, it's impossible for her to love you properly. And so I say that to say this: women fall in love a lot of times with men Superman persona, and then they get married. And he was just a regular old dude, man. He's breast stinks in the morning. He's just a regular dude. He's going on. He has the issues from his childhood, from his past. A lot of times, they want Superman back, right? They want that guy back, but that guy is not real. He's not real. And so, what men do, because we are problem solvers, what we'll do is we'll keep the persona that nothing bothers emotions, and we always got an answer for everything because we feel like that's what they want. But the truth of the matter is, it grow with you. So you don't understand that. Yeah, my husband's big, strong, also a human being. He also has feelings. He also has emotions, and he needs emotional connection just like everybody else. He's not some sentient being. He's not like Data from Star Trek. He's not an android. He's actually a person. And so a lot of times when marriages fall apart, it's because of that. And the wife even gets turned off sometimes, like, oh man, he's just a human being. So men do the same thing. They realize that they wife and long fingernails and all that stuff, and he's just a regular old girl. Like,
ooh,
it was, yeah. And so that's all he is. He's not real. So that was the basis of that chapter, was to just say, hey, look, guys, it's okay to not be okay, and you got to kill Superman if you're going to be the man you need to be for your family and for your.
So, actually, like I was reading a book, real quick. I was reading a book, right, and it's saying like the first thing, and I'd like to hear your take on this one for sure, is kind of the first thing a man needs to do is provide food and shelter, and then once he can provide food and shelter, then he can become a good man. But he can't become a good man unless he provides those kind of things. And I think kind of what you're going back earlier to those two types that are very toxic is they stop at 1 and 2. And they forget, hey, number 3 is like, I got to be a good person. But being a good person is so like vague. It's like you got to like learn, you got to read, you got to talk, you got to like understand that you need to grow. And I think that's where a lot of people, in my opinion, stop at, is I provided food and shelter, so 1 and 2 are checked. But the other part is so ambiguous. It's like, what does that really mean? What do you think about that?
Perfect example. Good segue, Mike. You're right. So our fathers and our grandfathers, they got the protect and provide thing down. But the new generation, the millennials, have reversed it. They want to provide the emotional and all that stuff, and they don't want to and they don't want to protect. It's like it's almost flipped. For a total man, you need to be all of those things. You need to be able to do all of man that you need to be, and you need to provide, protect, have the emotional, have the connection to be able to do all those things. But it's almost like I see young, they're so emotional. So feelings get hurt so easily. They don't have any resiliency, and it's just the end of the world. Well, our fathers had it different. They were like, I gotta get out here and work. My family, that was their too, and both of them are wrong. Both of them cause problems because if you provide and protect and you don't have the emotional connection, you create people who don't have any, who don't have. If you just only if you're man, then you create people who don't know how to go out here in the world and deal with hard things. That when they're first in their bar, when they break, the first time somebody's mean to them at the drive-thru at Sonic on their first job, the first time somebody says, hey, they have an attitude. So both are wrong. So I agree, Mike, but I think our fathers and grandfathers had it more right because you have to have somewhere to eat, something to eat, somewhere to sleep, and you got to be safe. But they just stopped there. They've been all right.
You see it. I mean, you see with our parents and everything else that their love is look for now. You know what I'm saying? Because that monogamy, let's be honest, now you go over 2 years of marriage or a year, I'm giving you a round of applause. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
back in the days, being married 30, 40 years, celebrating 60-year anniversary this generation. Because I feel like even though they our fathers and our grandfathers were those protectors, those I need to go to work and everything else, I feel like the woman fell more in love with them because they were providing them with that head. They were doing what they were doing, being responsible and ensuring that we were sort of protected at all times. But now is like I said, it has become very lax. Like I see people out there that they're crying that their girl broke up with them, and I'm like, really? Like, dude, the world goes
21
on.
years
You know what I'm
old.
saying? Yeah, crying. Oh, I miss her. And I'm like, yo, like, what is happening right now? That person was in front of the parents would have slapped them and be like, man up and keep it going. You know what I'm saying? But it has become very relaxed, very relaxed. One thing that is
Well, I think also.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Mm,
Go ahead,
go
Marcus.
ahead, bro. Go ahead. No, I got you. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask a different question, but if you were gonna add on top of it, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I think the reason why I say I had it more right, a woman will respect a man who works and a man who protects. Young men who are overly emotional, they're trying to be their girl's girlfriend. I'm not my wife's girlfriend. I'm not her girlfriend.
All right.
We're not partners either. People like, yeah, we're not partners. Partners are equal. You guys are partners in this podcast. Yeah, equal share in it, equal investment in it. My wife and I are not partners. Because guess what? If something goes, she ain't gotta die for me.
All right.
We're not equal. We're not. And people get real, we're not equal about marriage, guys. I'm 20 something years in the game. Ain't nothing equal about it. There's roles to be played. There's roles to be played. And I ain't mean just in the bedroom. There's roles that have to be. If there's no food in the
Right.
house, if the lights are off, the water's off, who's everybody looking at? They come in
Dad.
the house and the kids are dirty and the house is dirty, then they look at her. But I have to be. There's no country in the world that has two kings. There's no country in the world that has two presidents. Somebody has to be in charge. Somebody has to be a leader, and that guy is me. Around here, I take their responsibility very, very seriously. I don't lord it over people. I'm not a dictator, but there is no question who the leader of this home is. I could bring my wife here right now, and she'll tell you who the leader of this home is. It's not.
It's gonna be a short podcast if you bring her in.
Oh, we should definitely do it, man. She'll tell you. This whole partnership crap just came along in the last like 20, 30 years. There's no such thing.
Yeah.
Somebody like, and you run behind the couch and tell your wife to fight them. You're done, bro. Your man, you didn't do your job. It's your time to get up and see who's out there. We're not partners.
Yeah.
Well, probably gonna get some comments about that, but it's the truth. And if you want to challenge me, we're not partners. We're not. I'm your husband. You're my wife. That's a job description. That's a job description. Yours gonna say you gotta die
That's
for
a
me.
good.
Mine says I gotta die for you.
That's a right there. That's a duty type.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but, I mean,
People, we are
true,
not
though.
partners.
But you know what I mean, like that there is that kind of concept though, like when you are married in a sense, and it's like you do have a role to play. Like I really do say like as a man and as a husband, I'm the leader of my family. So if there's something not right in the house, that's my fault. That's on me. If someone's not performing in those type of things, and so that's why I wake up early. That's why I do those things because it's on me to start. You know what I mean? And I think that like a lot of young men right now they're having problems with. That's a lot of it is like the men, we're not really good mentors to the next generation. We have not been very good, and a lot of it is like we're figuring it out. We're figuring out as like, and that's what I think that's also my biggest gripe is people make it seem like you're supposed to have it figured out at 30 and be like, no, I'm still figuring things out. I'm still learning from last year, this year. You know what I mean? And I think that the generation is not receiving that because we're still trying to figure it out because we thought we're supposed to have this shit already figured out and up that. But you see people that, they were, they're born in 20s, 30s, and 40s. Their families are in shambles generations down the road because of what you're saying. They were just there. They put food on the table. They were there. But who was this guy? I don't know who this man was. He was just my father, you know? And I think that's kind of what we're coming in now. Like you were saying earlier, we have this issue where now people are sitting there saying, well, I'm going to be emotional. And then it's like, well, what's going to be the cause in a couple of generations when you're emotional again? And that's all we teach now. Men is emotional response.
Yep.
Notice
Mike, do you
Marcus how
think
he's saying that with the lights off, behind closed doors.
Well, no, because like I didn't have it on because it was sunny, and then now it's getting darker. So I'm like, do I get up and go turn on the light? Do I text my wife saying, hey, can you come turn on the light? There's like multiple things I've been trying to think about, like how do you play it off? So I've just been riding with the light on. That's all we're doing right now is riding with it. So
Oh, that's hilarious. So, Mike, I got a question for you, Mike. As generations go by, and you're kind of in that middle age group right now. I'm a little bit older than you, I think. And do you think that as time goes by, that our young men will figure it out? Do you think that
yeah,
and they'll figure out what they're supposed to be doing, or somebody will go ahead?
yeah. See, even the word I've heard it, and she turned on the light. So thanks, Izzy.
You're
No, but
welcome.
yeah, I do believe in that. Like in a sense, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like the military now. Like people like, and I refer this the same thing when people were like, the military, man, these young kids are coming in, they're this and that. It's like they'll be fine. Is it going to be troublesome? 100%. But at the end of the day, I'm really hopeful and I'm really positive on people. As humans, man, we have figured it out. We have not died off yet. We have a lot of like Darwin awards, but that's still very small. I really believe in us as a people of like, hey, man, we'll figure it out somehow, some way. Now, there might be a generation or two that suffered dramatically from that, but from those lessons, there will be one or two of those men who rise up and say, like, you know what? Because, you know what I mean? Like, there's a reason why Tony Robbins is who he is. There's a reason why E.T. the hip hop preacher, Eric Thomas, is Eric Thomas. Like there's a reason for that one.
That dude's
And
a you hype.
man, dude, I've been listening to him since forever. So I've heard his story and where he was at, and like motivating kids to now like professional teams, books, and like programs and all these things. And so that's why I'm really hopeful because if men like him, which didn't have a father by the way either, were able to become the men they are now and then raise the next generation, then I think there's hope. And now there's gonna be a lot of trial and error. There might be some debt going on. There might be a lot of lonely nights, but I generally believe as human beings, we're gonna be okay.
I totally agree, man. I agree too. And I look. I look at my story. I mean, my story is right there in the book. I came from a two-parent home, good people, and I still struggle. I still struggle, but and still learning. Even at 43 years old, I'm still every day how to be a version of myself. I still have to read. I still have to, do all the things I need to do, pray, all the stuff to be the man that I need to be to help other people. I think the main thing with our young men today, is particular, I'll speak on them because is that they have, like you said, there has to be that older guy, braid his beard, say, hey, young buck, don't do that, and not care that he says, well, you can't tell me what to do. Well, actually, I can, and so I to that point, and our generation, as millennials, we're so confused about who we are. We're not teaching the young men how to be men, and so that's the problem. There's a lot going on there, and I teach my sons about female nature. I do. I teach them that look, a woman may say all this stuff that she wants the man to be nice and sweet and all that stuff. She really doesn't. She wants you to be nice and sweet when she wants you to be nice and sweet.
Right.
You gotta be have a masculine frame, man. You gotta stay in that masculine frame and not move from it because she's gonna be like, in 20 some years of marriage, my wife has been, and I've been. I mean, it went up a little, down a little bit, but that's the call. That's what it takes to lead a
Right.
family. You sometimes I literally have gotten in my car and just drove somewhere and just sat there and cried, man, because I needed to do
Right.
that, But I also need to come back and lead these people in the right direction, but also let them know that I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, but I really teach my sons about female nature. Says like help them break it down, what as opposed to what she's actually. And I think that's missing. That's the missing component right there. Because what she wants, you will be running around like a chicken with your head. You'll never understand. You will you'll always be like, I don't. She'll always have you on your heels because you won't know what to expect. But if you understand the way a woman thinks, if you ever get down to it, get past the boobs and the vagina, real way a woman thinks and what she really needs and what she really wants from you, you'll never have a problem. You'll never. Well, I would say you'll never have a problem. You'll have a lot fewer problems in your marriage if you understand, in your relationship if you understand how a woman really thinks. So
You got to retract that a little bit. That's why I've been single for 40 something years, because I understand how women think. I understand them too well and getting into that world with them.
so you've been. I know you keep in touch with Shannon. You know I had the biggest crush on Shannon like forever. And
Honestly.
Never told me she was gay. I'm like, you get what? Like, what? I'm like, so strung me along for 2 years. Man, that's how you have to understand female the way the female think. Cause I'm like 19 years old. This girl's half black, half Galician, beautiful smile, like just a bow, long, beautiful head on her back. I'm like, oh, this is it, you know.
Didn't you bring her like a teddy something for like her birthday or something like that?
Oh, come on, bro. Like in my sipping days, yeah, man, I was sipping, bro. Oh, your boy was sipping hard, man. Oh.
Knock. Got you. Got you, nice little kid. And she's like, okay, thanks. My God.
You seen the movie with Will Smith? You seen Hitch? You seen the movie Hitch?
Yeah.
In college, man. That was, God, it was horrible, man. Oh.
But it's crazy because I've noticed that these teens now would reciprocate to who is willing to take the time to try to help them. A lot of times, I don't know if it's not happening at home. A lot of times it's maybe because of these parents' upbringing in these third world countries or whatever the case may be. Like it for some of them, like I'll talk to some of these young teenagers because they're friends with my nephews or whatever the case would be, and they'll be like, wow, like you're really asking me how my day went, or you're really asking me how I'm doing in school, or you're really asking me like how is everything in life in general. It's like, what's after high school? Like, what are your plans? You know what I'm saying? And for me, I had the mentality because my parents were the same way. My parents always made sure all five of us were on the right path. So when I am now in a position to where I can express that to people, I feel like I sort of feel bad for them because I don't know if these talks are happening in their homes. I don't know if these talks are happening even amongst their friends. Because I'll be honest with you, you and I, 19, 18, 19 years old, we weren't talking about like, yo, what's for the future? We were like, yo, what are we doing tonight? What club we're going to? I'm going to the shop at to get the 6-pack. I'm going here to drink this. Like, our focus was at that moment. We're thinking about, yo, I can't wait to tech or master. I can't wait to do 20 years. I can't wait to do whatever. It was never those conversations, So now it's like I feel like when I'm able to have a chance to have a discussion with the teenagers, especially them that are now 18, 19, like look at me with like, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, here is a girl that's actually asking me, you know what I'm saying? And it sucks because a lot of these kids are good kids. A lot of them have potential to be what they want to be. And I'll be honest with you, like I'm always pro-military. I tell them, hey, what else doesn't work out? You can't see yourself doing college, if you can't see yourself working for mom and dad, or you can't see yourself in fucking KFC, then go to the military. Do it. I'm a prime example of how well it's done for me. And so don't feel like there's not options out there because you're not seeing them from your parents. Your parents are not telling you there's options. but know that there are people who, sincerely care about you and want to see you do the best. Because unfortunately, a lot of these teenagers don't get that, man. They really sucks because they're the future, right? They're the ones who, when all three of us fucking go 6 feet under, they're supposed to be the ones to step up to take over. But the way I see it, honestly, and no disrespect to your kids or anything, not, but this generation is soft. They are fucking soft, man. They're like dough. You know what I'm saying? They're built to where, like I said, they cry because the girl broke up with them, or they're crying because mommy said, or they're crying because the teacher yelled at me. Like, dude, what is going on? Where's that turtle shell, that hardcore, to where back in the days my dad would be like, yo, crying, why are you crying? There's no blood coming out of your eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not crying blood. He would tell me things and be like, why are you crying? You know what I'm saying? Or he would tell me, I'll give you a reason to cry. You know what I'm saying? Those were the things, but we made sure we were hard. You know what I'm saying? This generation now, this time out, this, hey, go to your room and then door because I yelled at you. Like, get out of that. But that's just me on my soapbox right there.
No,
It is.
you're right. Everything's feelings based. And there's got to be a balance. I believe in balance in all things, man. There's got to be one way or the other. Too much emotion, not good. Too little emotion, not good. So you gotta. It's like Mr. Miyagi, man. You remember you told Daniel, walk on left side, squish. Walk on right side, squish. Walk in the middle, good. You gotta be in the middle. And I think if we can ever get to the point where we blend those two together, where we can be in our masculine and also, tough love, and also some emotion in there too. And not when I say emotion, I don't mean like crying. I mean like, look, I tell my kids all the time I love them, all the time. My son's 19 years old. Y'all pray, and I tell each one of them I love them. There's no problem there. You hear that father say I love you. They never hear him say I'm proud of you. That's what I'm talking. That's what a father brings to the table.
No.
But you better believe that I'll jump in my son's butt in a minute and be like, hey man, good morning. Hey, what's the problem? It's a balance there. It's always got to be a balance. And then my wife comes in, she's nurturing. She nurtures things that come along with it. I hug my kids and do all those things, but they know that their dad's a dad. I'm a dad. I'm not just some guy just puts money in the bank and makes sure they got food to eat. No, I actually am an involved father. I discipline my kids. I love my not perfect, but I do what I'm supposed to be. That's what my dad did. You can do both. You ain't got to be all one thing. And so, but kids will listen. You're right. These kids, there's kids who come to my house play basketball all the time. I had a goal up for my son. He's coming. I would have 10, 15 kids in my study one day. I was on a call like this, and I hear F-bomb. People, so hold on one second. I go outside. I'm like, hold ball. We say, hold ball.
Yeah.
I grab the ball. Like, who's in my yard cursing? Who is it? And they were like, I was like, no, raise your hand. It's like, come here, both of you, two little boys. Like, disrespect my house like that? It's cool. I don't curse in my house. So let you curse in my yard like that. And they, immediately, sorry sir, yes sir, no sir. They didn't get crazy. And then at the end, I took them to the side. I talked to them. And I talked to them. I was like, that's not a good look. That's not the way men carry themselves in this world. Something. You don't have to curse and have to act tough out here. So that's where that old was in there, where you like, hey, look, I'm gonna give it to you raw, but I'm also gonna bring. I'm not gonna just yell at you, get out of my yard, don't ever come back. No, you're welcome to stay if you act right. Now it's on you. And so that's what's missing right there. That right there is missing. Now it's just yell, get out of my yard, you suck, you're a terrible kid, don't ever come back. Nobody takes anymore. Like, the problem right there. That's the disconnect that we need. We need that tough love. Come back, bring that back.
Because I even noticed. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, when it comes to this younger generation, like I guess the silver lining that I say, like, I don't think we're that soft. The only reason why I say that is because 1% still serve the military, and we're still having a voluntary service. You know what I mean? So like they are getting in a soft, but I think what it is like, we have social media. So for the first time in this world, we're learning how to mass communicate, and obviously we're not doing a very good job. Like everyone, like when Facebook first came out or Twitter, like how many people were sitting there saying like, "Hey, guess what I'm eating? I'm eating a Whopper." You know what I mean? Now somebody was like, "Hey, I'm eating a Whopper." Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, this is not 2004 or five or whatever. Like, no one just says what they're eating, but that's what I'm
Right.
saying. Like, we're still trying to figure out communication, and so as men, I believe we don't really communicate at all much, right? And so as soon as we started communicating a lot more, that became our primary thought. Hey, this is how I get women now. This is how I do this, how I get famous or whatever. We almost got to the point where we communicated too much, and then we didn't know how to. A lot of people don't know how to actually like they too much stuff on Facebook or those things. You know what I mean? Like it's we barely had this like maybe 2007 I had Facebook. You know what I mean? Like that's not that long if you really think about it. And for us as a species to evolve and understand mass communication, like it's I think that's a lot has something to play with it is that we're communicating at a high level and we're not doing it efficient, we're not doing it well. And I mean, how many people now, even with the culture we have of cancel culture, we're coming back and sitting there saying at 17 we're holding you to today's standards when you were 17, and we obviously know like all of us are old enough to know like thank goodness there was nothing like that,
Yeah.
because what's on there I was already a fool, I was way worse when we were younger. And so like I think that has something to play with it as well, is like have we're not there yet as a species, we haven't evolved, but I mean like we're just having problems.
Do you guys think that social media creates echo chambers? I think social media creates echo because the thing about it, you have 400 people, 400 or 500 people that are your friends, and let's say you throw something out there and everybody's like, "Yeah, you're right," and it creates this echo chamber. And if somebody comes in and they disagree, they immediately oust them because they disagree. Like there's no conversation anymore. Like they can't have a conversation where I say, "Well, I believe this, Mike," and Mike says, "Well, I believe this," and then we shake hands and I respect. I agree. That's his opinion, and we move on. Now it's like if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong. You don't. You're unevolved. You're this. It's some kind of we call you an ist, racist, sexist, misogynist.
Right.
It's, you have an opinion outside of the popular. And I think that is a huge problem in our society right now. That people live in their echo chambers. We're the most connected and the most disconnected we've ever been in the society. You cannot have an opinion that is not of the popular opinion, and that is censorship. That's censorship. When you start censoring a society, that's like the downturn, because now there's no think all the movies we watch. All the movies we watch now are like remakes. The Marvel movies, all those were written in the 70s and 80s, man. Like no, there's no, because people just they live in their echo chambers and you can never grow. It challenges your beliefs, challenges what you say, challenges what you think. You can never grow. I can sit there and have a talk with you guys and express my opinions because I've been challenged. And what I believe, all the things that I hold dear, they've been challenged, and I've been able to stick with them and move forward. But that doesn't happen anymore.
Well, especially the idea of sitting there saying, you know what, I really don't know right now. Like, oh, you know what, like, or sometimes like, you know what, like I have this thought, but I don't really know how to articulate it because it's a brand new thought. Like I'm still kind of, how does it word? Sometimes I'm trying to say something. I'm like, I don't know how to articulate this yet. Why? It's a brand new thought that I'm coming up with. I'm kind of watering it. I'm trying to like, does it work? And then the more I talk out loud, the more I can kind of articulate my concept. And sometimes I'm like, you know what, maybe that wasn't, you know what, maybe, you know what I mean? It's kind of that. Or even what's going on sometimes, we're talking and then it's a little bit of silence. Why? Because you're okay. You have to think about it, right? Like sometimes conversation is conversation just so I can sit there and win, right? Like you're talking like, well, you know what? I disagree. And it's like, what do you disagree about? Well, and it's like you're trying to come up. I just wanted to say I disagreed first. I wanted to say this versus sitting there saying, you know what? I understand your point of view. I can see where you're seeing that at. I look at it from this point of view, or I'm looking at this. Ah, okay. And like I said, I think a lot of it is, and a reason for that, honestly, and going back to what we were talking earlier about parents, and I take my job so serious. is I think a lot of parents, and I'm always going to push it back on the parents. I don't think it's the kid's fault. Like a 15, 17-year-old kid, they're still kids in a sense. They're young men and young women, but they're not fully developed yet. It's on the parents. And the reason for that is, again, a lot of parents have stopped at step 1 and 2. And both female, right? You know, like female maybe might be loving and nurturing or something like along those fences, but they still got to learn. Like, you know, and that's what when we're talking about first thing, when we're talking about, you know, my wife and those things. And it's why. Well, like today we're talking about the book we're reading, right? Okay, cool. Hey, what'd you get from this? What'd you get from that? That's something that I think is missing within a marriage a lot of times, but also missing as people. Like, hey, what book are you reading? What are you doing with this book? What are you doing with that? What are you learning from it? And having you come on here and you wrote a book, so you have full thought, but we asking you questions, you still have to articulate a new concept that wasn't in the book in a sense. And like I said, I think we're doing okay. Like as far as where we've come from, where if you really look in the grand scheme of things, there are still people alive to this world, to this day, that were in the 60s when certain people would act that they weren't, you know what I mean? Like just the idea is preposterous nowadays, but it's really not that long ago. There's people still alive that were participating on both sides, right? So I try to give us more credit. Like, you know what I mean? We're idiots. We're humans. Yeah, we have smartphones and gunpowder and stuff like that, but it was only a couple years ago when some people honestly believe some people were not the same as them. Like it's a ridiculous concept, but that is real. And it's not even before that time frame where we literally had, you know, a war, two wars where people were willing to go like that bad. And, you know, I mean, even you look at that even further, how long was Genghis Khan in a sense, right? Genghis Khan is a crazy individual and all the stuff he did. So like, I try to give us more credit. We're doing the best we can, but we don't evolve as fast.
Yeah, agree.
No, that makes total sense, because even now is like we got to be grateful for those that came behind our parents and everything else, because we're recognizing that deficiency. We're recognizing that these young generation behind us is not equipped with what the way we were. So in a way, I agree. All right, because we have people like ourselves and others that are willing to talk to them, that are willing to side and don't disrespect my house by cursing, or willing to pull them to this. What are your plans after high school? You know what I'm saying? We do give that perception to. We want to make sure you guys do well, because when we're no longer here, you guys have to step up and take the reins. You don't know how many of my friends were married at 21. You know what I'm saying? And my first thought reaction was like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, plans to go to Vegas to party for your 21st, and now I gotta attend the wedding or something. Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, not having no comprehension of he loved her, you know, whatever that she loved him. You know what I'm saying? If it happened that they got married 21s, I should have been happy for that person versus like this, you know. But it is crazy that the generation is, even though we have social media and everything else, that we're still sort of fighting on social media. I don't know how many posts that I've read that people would like, oh, I guess I lost a family member because he unfriended me. Oh, I lost a because he didn't like what I said. Prime example, I have a friend who I still think he and I are friends, right? Every time on my Facebook feed, there was always some negative with what was going on in the world. I get it. I understand you have your opinion. I understand that your views are you don't like the way things are. I understand it. So I would just let it go by. Let it go by. Every day, every year, just let it go by. Finally, I just couldn't take it anymore. Like it was just too much, because I was used to seeing this person post things about, oh, look at my child graduating. You know, just positive things. I always like seeing positive things from my friends. But for this person, it was always just a negative comment. So I said, that's my boy. Let me ask a question, or let me challenge him, right? So I made a comment and I said, you know, you do a lot of talking on social media, but what actions are you taking? Where's your community involvement? Where's your volunteering? Or why are you not at the town meetings to fight what's going on? And that opened up Pandora's box, because now I became oh, I thought we were boys. Okay, I get it, but that doesn't mean I don't have to agree with everything you say. But again, his mentality was, if you're a friend on social media, you should be sort of agreeing, that echo chamber. This is my view. Izzy should be the same. I said this, Izzy should be say this. I think like this, Izzy should be say. The one moment that I said, dude, you're wrong, or what else are you doing about it? Made a video, oh, my boy, 20 something. He commented telling me that I can't do this, I can't do that. And I said, you know what? Let me take the high road. And I just blocked them. Like I just put them on temporary block. I said, dude, I don't want to see your news feed anymore. Like I'm done with it, dude. Like, you know, if you can't have a civil conversation between you and your so-called boy of 20 years, just be civil about it, have a nice little debate, maybe, or whatever. But then at the end of the day, just leave still with the friendship intact. Then you still have a lot of maturing and growing up to do. Because unfortunately, whether you're 50, whether you're 60, you're still learning about yourself. Captain in California, he just got married. I think he was like in his mid-20s or whatever, straight out of OTS. So I said to him, I said, oh, congratulations. You know, I saw the ring on his finger. I'm happy for you, this and this and that. And I don't know how the conversation got into it, but it was asked like, oh, so you know all about her and everything else. He literally looked at me and said, Izzy, even though I have this ring on this finger, we are still learning about each other. There are things he's going to do tomorrow that I didn't know she was capable of doing, even though I've been knowing her for 15 years in the relationship. No matter this his ring put on, it's just a material. It doesn't mean that we both know each other from head to toe. It does not mean that at all. And that struck with me because I was like, absolutely right. We are constantly learning, we're evolving, huh?
Is that why you stay single?
That's why I stay single.
That was a moment.
Ever? You ever see yourself get married?
You're breaking up. your connectivity is being lost.
But you know, seriously, like in the Honduras, we had a joke where like Izzy would be like, the day I get married is the day I get divorced. Like I'm getting divorced right afterwards.
Oh, big party, big divorce party. First we'll do we'll do the marriage reception, have a big party, open bar, and then we'll do a divorce party right after the open bar, big party. Divorce parties are, you know, happening every year. And it's a reason to celebrate. It's a reason to celebrate, believe it or not.
I'm trying to stop them. That's why I'm a married. As soon as I stop one, another one goes down, man. I can't. It's too much.
It's too much. You're absolutely right. It's too much because as you're helping them, I'm them outside and be like, yo, don't listen to it. It's better to be single, player. It's better to.
Oh, you know what's funny is like
live us all, man.
The crazy part about Izzy is like he's never gonna get married. Everyone is around him has already accepted it. Like everyone has, but he's never angry that anyone else is married. Like I think that's never different because you see those people that are single, but you see them like they're single for a reason. Yeah. And like in Japan, if you're over 30 and you're not married, like there's like that cloud over you, and they'll always be like, hey, this and that. Oh, she's over 30. And we're like, ooh, like yeah, right. Like something's wrong with that person. There's a reason. Izzy's that one person where you're like, why is he not married? Huh?
Usually right.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of true. Like if nobody wants to be with you by it's like nobody has chosen, because it's like there's so many people in this world, and if you are single and it's by choice, great. If not, you gotta figure something out. But because there's some people you look at and be like, there was another person on this world that was like, hey, you're a match, and there's probably 3 or 4 saying, hey, you're a match too.
Well, it's like the truth of the matter.
That is. Think that if I'm at a negative.
Well, that's what I was about to say. So there's very few people like this. Very few people that are actually single, happy, flourishing, developing, growing. Most people have done a few things, and let's take women. Most women they prioritized their career over finding a mate. They've given away their 20s to a job or to some other cause or to dating. And you know who I mean by that, douchebags, and
Mm-hmm.
giving their body to them and not prioritizing that. So a lot of times when you find, if you, Izzy, I know you probably still date though, right? I'm sure you still date. If you go on a date with a girl, you don't even date.
No.
Well, dang.
But go ahead,
If you,
finish your thought.
well, if you go on a date with a girl, 35 years old, you start to peel that onion back. You look at her, she looks good, everything's fine. Onion back, and you're like, oh, she's crazy. Like she's got this, and you start to see it. Start to see why she's not where she should be. You know, and people don't like to hear that, but that's the truth. That's the honest to God truth. Is that sometimes if you're not marriage minded, that's fine. If you're not like Izzy's not married. Most people are they want a family, they want kids, they want the the white picket fence, but they don't know how to get it. They don't know how to work with another person. They've been taught to work with another person. They've never been taught how to just hey, I need to help you down the road. You help me down the road. I play my role. You play your role. We get down the road together. Most people aren't raised that way. They're raised trying to dominate each other like dogs. You ever seen two dogs try to hump each other? It's crazy. And
Yeah.
that's what a lot of couples do. They try to one of them's all trying to dominate the other. All trying to dominate the other, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So then
You
you
know,
gotta come see me.
it's crazy because I don't allow myself enough time with her to peel that onion to know if she's crazy or not. Because I only peel one layer, and I'm like, all right, see you later. I peeled the layer, and it was good while it lasted, but see you later. I'm not there to peel the whole because I'm not
I've
So
trying.
you
known Izzy
did.
like that.
So you
I've
do.
known Izzy like that to be straight up and like you would think, but it's because like you see some guys like his age and you be like, oh okay, I get it. You trick him. You meet Izzy and you're like, no, he's actually up front, like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and they're like, okay, and he's like, all right. So and it's like afterwards, everyone's friends still. And it's like Izzy's that one person who's like, yeah, I've kind of slept with all these girls. We're all friends because they all knew what's up. Everyone knew what the game was. I wasn't like, he's not
I
lying.
don't know.
He's not.
But
I'm
Oh,
just
well,
saying like,
I was telling my wife, she's like, I love Izzy's accent. He seems like he's so cool. I said, he has not changed. The man has not changed. He was 20. The man has not changed. And I love that about you, man. Like this, it's the same old is. Every time we talk, the same, never changes. Like, and she was like, he seems like he was such a cool guy. I said, yeah, Izzy, he's a good dude. I said, he could stay the weekend. He's just a cool dude, man. And you're never gonna meet a guy like that ever again. And I haven't. After all these years, I've never met a guy quite like this guy.
it's because I told Mike, I think we did in my life was always the clubs seek, attack, destroy. Who I'm bringing back, who can I jump on, whatever the case be. Because my night had to be fulfilled in a sexual manner. You know what I'm saying? Because that was my intent. If you told adults people like, yo, we're going to the club, my mind, let me see what girls I could kick it, see what I could get from there, see how far I could go. Back home, then I bring it back home. You know what I'm saying? But then I started noticing that it wasn't happening for me. The people that I surrounded myself with were always telling me how great of a night it was. That they were just around each other's company is what made the night fulfilling for them. Now, Izzy the jackass going home pissed because I didn't fucking hook up. Her number or whatever the case may be. On top of that, you're intoxicated, so you're even more angry. Meanwhile, you were like, damn, that shit was mad fun. Damn, I had this and that. I'm missing out on this. Like, I was at the same spot there with you guys. I didn't experience that. What is real? Take that out of your view. Girl hunt out of your view. Just enjoy it for the company. Enjoy it for the moment that you're with your friends. Enjoy it for the laugh because eventually they become memories. Enjoy it for that. You know what I'm saying? Having the process register in my mind as I started going out as I got a little bit older. Going out for the fun of it. Going out because I'm with my practice. Going out because I'm having conversations. going out because we're just telling stories, telling jokes, whatever the case would be. And by 2 o'clock comes when they say last call, Izzy had a great fucking time. When I took away the fact of hunting for girls, if the girl happened, it happened. Hey, I'm not gonna say no to it. But once I took my view to say, don't hunt it, just let it and enjoy the moment, enjoy the night. My life from there on out has created so many memories. So windshield wiper story, the glasses story. Those things would have never came about if mindset was just focused on, oh, I didn't get that fucking chick's number. I had to learn, push that aside. You have presently that makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? Especially you, that you the DD all the time. Let's not lie. You were the DD every time we went out. Marcus never drank. That was a check on my check. That was awesome to take, and we could get as hammered as we want. And I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes we did take a little bit of advantage. The fuck, you guys are getting out of control. We never were able to see through his lens. You know what I'm saying? Because we would just go shot, tequila sunrise, shot. Like, oh fuck, I gotta carry present, whatever. But Marcus being drunk or even having to take a sip still had a great time. Why? Because the people made it fun for him. And I had to learn that. I actually had to fucking sit back and be like, yo, why is Marcus and Mike always happy every time they go out? Why did that? And it's because they just like to fucking just competent. Just have a conversation. Like, honestly, I might do a club in a blue. I might now is like a nice bar, go to a restaurant, or I love going to friends' house. If I go to a friend's house with barbecue and drinking, whatever, but I love it because we sit there and we have, you know what I'm saying? We just talk about anything and everything. And, me and Mike talked about the art dying. It is literally dying. If it's not happening at the dinner table, then it's not happening. Nobody's talking. Everybody's too busy being on their cell phone, seeing what other people are, seeing what these celebrities are posing, paying attention to what you have in front. Your boys are inviting you to the beach for a reason, not for you to sit there in the sand and be on your fucking cell phone. For that, stay home. I don't need you here with me. Just keep your ass home. But that had days that I need to get and just enjoy the moment, and that's that I'm at now. In a moment. ever since I learned, I said enjoy the moment. Though if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, hey, I'm okay. I'm good with it.
But that's all it is maturity, man. That's when you really realize what life is all about, man. Life happens outside, man. It happens with each other. It doesn't through electronic device, man. Obviously we're talking through electronic device right now. It's a great time. But the truth of the matter is, I'd much rather be sitting right there with you guys, face to face, But the truth of the matter is that people will go out of their way not to do what we're doing right now. Face conversation. They don't even want to be bothered. And I think, like Mike was talking about evolution and how we're evolving, I think as we're evolving, we're losing that. We're losing that. You know how people get socially awkward now? I think that's something that's going to have to we have to reconfigure this thing. And if we get to you ever seen that movie WALL-E? I know you probably have, Mike. You got kids. You know how everybody's like on their screens and everybody's all fat. You can't walk. All you do is on their screens and they only talk to each other. Right. And it's becoming a reality. It is becoming a reality. The art of conversation is dying, like you guys said.
It is.
People don't even talk anymore. I have couples that will come and I say, when do y'all actually talk? Well, what do you mean? So do y'all actually just sit down and just talk about the future, the kids, I said outside of the kids, or just talk? Y'all just talk? Well, we talk about the kids. Okay. We talk about money. No, I'm like, have y'all built a friendship? The reason you're sitting in front of me is because you're not friends anymore. You stopped talking. You guys became business partners. So he's a CEO, she's a COO. And y'all are just doing life. You're not even living. You're just existing. And so I see so many couples that come in. The kids left home last year, went to college, and they're done. She wants out, he wants out. You know, all these things. I'm not happy anymore. That whole thing. I hate that word, by the way. Happy. Marriage ain't about happiness, man. It's about duty.
All right.
Yeah, I've been married for 20 some years, and every day wasn't a happy day. I promise you that. There were days I stuck in it because I had a duty and a responsibility to my wife and to my kids, and I made a promise. That's the reason why I stuck in it, not because I wasn't happy. And so, yeah, all that, that as a society, we gotta figure this thing out. We gotta figure out how to get back to what we lost. You know, just like you said, going to a friend's house and having a couple of drinks and eating some barbecue and just talking about whatever. They can't be bothered to get in the car. They can't be bothered to come there and maybe meet somebody I don't know. You
Right.
know, that's the kind of stuff that kind of gets me riled up. Cause I'm like, that's life. That's
Yeah.
great. Meeting new people.
Yeah.
What do you say would be the biggest flaw in relation? Is it communication or is it what is it?
Communication is the
Yeah.
relationship. Communication is the relationship. If you don't have, like when you met your wife, we talk and y'all talking phase or whatever you want to call it. That's communication. You got to continue that down the road. If you're going to have a good relationship, you got to continue to talk, got to continue to communicate. If you don't, most marriages fail because of lack of communication. Communication is a byproduct of connection from each other, and a disconnection can happen with kids. Man, kids can tear your marriage apart. They're little terrorists. They want what they want. No, I fell down. I'm hungry. I'm sick. All those things. I don't care if you ain't smashed in 10 days. I don't care. I want what I want. And so a lot of times people make centric marriage. If you make your marriage centered around your children, you're in trouble. Because they're gonna grow up. Trust me. I got a 19-year-old in this room across behind you, and a 20 and a 17-year-old in this room right here behind on the side. And they're gonna leave. They're grown men. They're getting ready to jump ship. And me and my wife, all the stuff that we've been burying, all the stuff that we've been hiding behind, all we do for the kids, you got to deal with that stuff. Most people don't do that. So you have. Okay, I believe in date night. I believe in communicating. I believe in house and babysitter. Y'all having you and night. Talk to your partner. Remember remember why you fell in love with him. And that's the most problem with most relationships is that communication piece. You start talking, the marriage.
Let me ask.
One of the things.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say one thing that we've done like to help combat that, because that shit's real. Like you'll be talking, your kid's like, "Hey," and so like, my daughter has to raise her hand, and sometimes
Yeah.
I'm like, Hold on, hold your ass, like your mom's talking. What's up?" And she's like, "I forgot." And then it'll be like later, "What's up?" "I forgot." "Okay, cool." Anyways, and it's like, but I heard that a long time ago, and I really made sure, like, and that's how I feel about my wife. Like, our marriage is more important than our kids. And I really believe in that. Like, our marriage is more important than kids because, A, again, like you said, they're going to leave. And two, like, you see couples and you're like, you just look at them and be like, oh shit, they have nothing to talk about. Like, they don't even know how to, without the kids. And even from afar, you see that and everyone's like, holy shit, there's a disaster brewing in 10 more years when Johnny's 18. And it's like anyone and everyone can see it. And it's so obvious, right? You can tell couples like, oh, y'all don't actually like to talk. Like y'all, when y'all go out somewhere, y'all separate and do your
Yeah,
thing.
y'all don't even like each other.
Yeah,
You ever see the
that's
couple in the
crazy.
restaurant? They sit there, they're like 70 years old, they're sitting there eating their food. Not a word. They're just waiting to die. They're waiting to die. It's like, are you still alive today? Oh, yeah.
But actually, real quick before you hop in, Izzy, like with your question, I really have a question for you, Marcus. And this is like I've been kind of like figuring out how to articulate this, but
Woo! You're in
so
trouble.
really like with this one, like I tell my wife like, and this is actually even for you, Izzy, like I like being married, and one of the things is like my wife inspires me. Like I'm better without, like, better because of her. Like she inspires the shit out of me. I wouldn't do half, like, all the shit I do is not because I'm like motivated. I'm this and that. A lot of that shit is because I told her I get up at 4:59, and when I walk out to go, like, it's time to get ready, start going to the gym. So I'm looking at you, like, you're on the bed, you're comfortable. I turn the heater on for you. You're gonna wake up nice, and I gotta go to the gym where it's cold and work out. Like, I feel motivated in that sense. And I also believe too, like the woman's job is also to motivate the man, and the man motivates her. So it's like, that's why you see these couples, like if they have it right, they're always here, here, here. And anytime I've seen a couple kind of argue is like whenever, kind of like what you're talking about, like the people at the dinner table, they're not inspired by the person sitting next to them to do other things. And I think that's where you don't really, because like for me, for to be inspired by my wife, I'm doing this, and she gets inspired by me, and then I'm like, oh, she's ahead of me. What am I learning? What am I doing? Like, and currently right now I'm working on how to be present. Izzy and I talked that like we're not gonna do the podcast this week because I'm trying to spend some time with family. Why? Because my biggest problem right now is 5, 10, 15 years in the future, and looking down and sitting there saying, my daughter's at gymnastics right now. Like, I need to put this phone down, and I need to, whatever's going on at work can fucking wait. No one knows where I'm at, so it doesn't matter. So, but what do you think about like the idea of, a woman's job is to really inspire her husband?
Absolutely. And doing that, Mike, she's doing her job. Yeah, that's exactly what they're supposed to do. My wife is my muse. I wouldn't be the man. That book would have never got written if it wasn't for her. Yeah, so that book was sitting partially written on a laptop for years. For years. And she was like, you gotta do this, man. You gotta do this. If a woman could inspire, women at the beginning of time, if they really realized their power, then they wouldn't be trying to be us. Like the modern day woman is trying to be a man. You ever heard a woman call herself a female? There's no such thing. Alpha female is a woman that acts like a man. No man. And so, what you're talking about, Mike, is polarity. Polarity is what makes this man-woman thing work. I'm a good-looking dudes, but neither one of y'all ain't don't do nothing for me. Show me a beautiful woman and soft-spoken and sweet and nice and things. It's the opposite of me. Not hairy, not hard muscles, not none of that stuff.
Right.
That's the polarity. That's the offset. That's the thing that makes us attracted to one another. Women are attracted to our masculinity. So being in relationship, men are becoming women, and women are becoming men, and that just doesn't work. It goes against evolutionary biology. Evolutionary biology says that you don't have to believe in evolution per se, but we're all evolving, regardless of whether you believe we came from whatever. We're all evolving. So evolutionary biology says women want a masculine man. They do not want soft. Generally, are not soft men, and men are not attracted to hard women. They're not. You remember Carrie? We used to play basketball with this girl named Black girl named Carrie. She could ball. No, Carrie didn't attract me because Carrie played. She was like a dude. She was a dude. She was, very masculine. But she was a cute. I couldn't rock with it, man, because I don't want a girl that's like. I don't want that. Like, that's not. My wife is unathletic. She can barely dribble a basketball. But she's sweet. She's soft spoken. She's all those things that take. You want a woman that is going to be not going to treat you like one of your boys. So yeah, Mike, and I think it's important. It's something missing in a lot of relationships. You need to be wholly a man, and she needs to be wholly a woman, and y'all come together and y'all work together. And that's when it's beautiful, man. When y'all can get to that. That's what. When a man can be a man and a woman can be a woman, and y'all come together and work it out.
So, why doesn't she inspire me? She's still quiet.
She won't answer me. Right now she's
going on.
Yeah, because
Marcus, let me ask you this. Marcus,
Let me ask.
I know
In a relationship long and want to, maybe marriage or whatever the case would be. I feel like there's a stigmatism prenup. Why is that? Is prenup bad? Is prenup good? Explain to us why is that women see that as evil, of distrust, of mistrust. Why is that? Explain. Because I think these ladies are watching too many. I think these ladies are watching.
I think
They've seen that the movies are like, yo, that's negative. So they're like, fuck, if it's negative in the movies, if Tyler Perry said it's negative in his negative in the real world. You know what I'm saying?
If
Not
I ever
good.
see Tyler Perry, dude, Tyler Perry has called me as a marriage counselor. If I ever we squaring up, man. I heard he's like 6'5", whatever.
Yeah, he's a
squaring
tall
up.
dude.
You know?
But
Explain to
Yeah,
is it peanut bad?
no,
what is it?
absolutely not a bad thing. Prenups or prenups, men like us shouldn't even be worried about a prenup. We ain't multimillionaires. You know, that should never even be on the table. Honestly, the reason the prenup has become so popular is because of this. And this is something I'm gonna like, and it's fine. I'm married. You can be mad all you want to. A lot of women don't like prenups because the justice system is built for women now. The justice system always leaned towards women. It's always been where if he cheated on you, or when no fault divorce came along, that's when things really, because you could just get divorced for anything. You had, he cheated, you cheated, he was hitting you. There had to be a reason for a judge to grant you a divorce. Now, no fault divorce. I don't like in the morning. I want to divorce you. So prenups were written to protect men's assets. Because what was happening was they were married as women, and if he was a man of means, she would be married 2-3 years, and then she's like, oh, I want a divorce, but I want half of your assets. Well, the prenup was a way for men to protect themselves. The reason why a lot of women don't like prenups is because they know that the justice system, if they do get divorced, that they can walk away with something, at least something. Like, even with rich men, but we're certainly not poor either. You know, she can walk away with half of my disability paycheck, or walk away with half of my whatever, the home or the car or whatever. But prenups came into play for, they were used to be for rich men. Now a lot of younger men are like, look, it ain't, even if it goes side, even if I'm the best husband ever, if she decides she wants to divorce me, she still could take half of my assets. So really, the prenup was protect men.
Right.
I think it's amoral. I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a thing. I think it depends on your situation. Now, if I blow up one day and become like the next Tony Robbins, you know, maybe me and my wife do discuss something. I don't know. It's like she like lose on my 20-something years. but if you Izzy and I was single and I come across this young lady and I like her, and and I decide, at 40-something years I'm going to get married, but I'm a multi-billionaire. Yeah, we get a prenup. And if you don't,
Yeah.
I think Steven Jackson, the NBA player, he literally left the altar. This girl, he left, and rightfully so. So I don't see a problem with it, man. Honestly.
And it's crazy because the stigmatism is that it's evil. You know what I'm saying? And it's been explained that it's not. Like you said, it's procuring the assets and everything else. Especially when either from a previous bad relationship. And so their mindset is set to be like, hey, I need, because I don't want to go through the fucking shenanigans that I last time. Oh,
Yep, exactly.
Tyler Perry fucked everything. Put in like this is evil. You know what I'm saying? How many movies or how many why should I be married movies is like, yo, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, F him, don't do that, don't sign the pre else.
Well, let's be honest, man.
No,
Marriage,
yeah.
be honest, marriage is a bad bet. It's a bad 60, I think it's up to 63 now, 64% of marriages fail. So would you go to the casino with your last $20 and bet it, knowing 60% chance that you're not going to hit?
Yeah.
It's just a bad bet. So you really got to be careful what you're doing and who you're doing it with. But yeah, I mean, if you got means, that just makes sense. So marriage is a bad bet in today's society. That's the truth. People like to hear it, but that is the truth.
Because real, no matter what they say, we would. I don't know how many women or men would be like, I would never do this to you. That person won't mess you up that way. I won't break your heart that way and everything. it's fucking good face turns into fucking evil face. I want your house. I want your car. I want your fucking 401k. I want everything. And the thing that pisses me, and the reason why I ask this, because the thing that pisses me off the most is I know people, military people, that are going to divorce, others taking their motherfucking from them. Pisses me off.
It happens.
I understand. I get it. Spouse has been there. I understand it. I understand also that your spouse is coming in at sometimes in a relationship where that person has been serving already. That person has been on it. Like, this is their lifestyle, you know. And you're also coming in to understand that there are going to be 6 months to a year. I kids, but at the end of the day, if I was in the military, guess what you would be doing? Staying home with the kids, right? So would you even think, like, you know what? Let me cut the legs and be like, let me get the pension. Person is serving 20. That is what pisses me off the most. Because I know people, good friends that are going through that, and I can't. That on the losing end, and you get, I mean, even to like 50, 60%. Not, they're getting half. And they've only been with that person, let's say sometimes person's not doing. You're getting half? You crazy. This world is crazy.
It happens. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
It's not, and I'll be honest, that's a real life for me is where it's at, because I think I told Mike this, the negative has outweighed the positive for me. My observance of relationships within friends and everybody else, the been here, and the positive been has been way, because like I mentioned before, the relationships of 50-year marriage, 60-year marriage that our parents have done doesn't exist. You know what I'm saying? He said I don't want to be married, but that didn't just come about that I woke up one day and said, you know what, Izzy, don't get married. It came about because negative. When I look over there, negative, look straightforward. Negative is like, where's the 30, 40-year marriage? Where's the monogamy? How many times have we gone to a club and there's husbands are deployed in the motherfucking enlisted club, or even doing their thing, or vice versa? You know, the women serve, they're deployed, and the husbands are doing their thing too. You know, that was another eye opener for me to say, why put yourself in that position? Why put yourself in those shoes? Why are you going to be the sucker that's deployed and your wife is tossed around by the whole dorm? How? All right, I'll mention this. Dorm hoe. What does dorm hoe mean? Dorm hoe means that this girl is basically slept with every dude in the dorms. And nobody looked at it as Jane Doe has a guy friend. They just saw it as, oh shit, smash Jane Doe. And now I just saw Jane Doe in Marcus's room. And now I just saw Mike's room, without even thinking that she's just a homegirl. She's just a friend. How many female friends we've had in the dorms? Plenty. But in outside eyes, they were dorm hoes. Again, another thing that was like, oh, I don't want dudes calling my wife a dorm home while I'm fucking, or dorm hoe while I'm away on deployment and stuff like that. Because there were dudes that were keeping their girlfriends in their dorm room, like people we know were keeping their girls in the dorm room. You know what I'm saying? And those perceptions is why push that shit away. Better be safe than sorry and everything else.
I'm just be alone. Izzy's that guy, like, if you're like at a Castaway, or like if there was the movie Castaway, he's like, nah, I'm just gonna go jump off the plane anyways. It's gonna crash. I'm good. I'm out. Like, dang, dude, like, calm down. Like, he's so passionate. That's the crazy part about Izzy, is like, he's so passionate about, like, just like, no, I'm not doing this. Like, it's like everyone's like, hey, you're single, cool, man. Like, you're gonna be single for the rest of your life. No biggie. No. He's like, no, I don't want to do it. It doesn't look right. Like, look, you see this? Like, bro, who hurt you? Just come here. Like, it's like, who hurt you? Man.
And it's even harder now. Single men get older, because it's very rare that you're going to find a girl with no kids. It's very rare. You know what I'm saying? So single guys think, yo, if I meet this girl and she's coming, now I'm already a stepdad. You know what might be too unrealistic because you're already thinking marriage, but you're coming in with that thing that you're step. Go ahead.
I got a serious question for both of y'all. Serious question. Now, I was talking to a group of friends not a while ago, and I tell my sons, if you can help it, single mothers can be problematic. Steer away from them if you can help it. So I told my sons, and they were like, "Oh no, you teaching them to be unemotional and you this," and I was like, "No, I'm teaching them the truth. Is that it's a bad deal. Raising another man's child could be a bad deal. And if I'm wrong, but I just feel I've seen it too many times. I've seen it too many times where there's some great stepdads out there. No shade to them, much love for them. I don't think a young man, 25, who's still trying to find himself, needs to walk into a that's where a child already is. It's too dangerous. Shaky baby daddy. You're never going to be number one. You don't get to be alone with your wife. You literally just have to step right into a father. That's from a young man. Now, if you my age, I got kids. If I choose to date a woman or mess around with a woman who has a kid and to marry her, I know how to be a father. So, but to ask a young man, and it happens a lot in the black community where, eight out of 10 kids are born in single mother homes in the black community. Crazy statistic. Nobody likes to talk about it, but that's the truth. So the likelihood of dating a girl who has a child is very high. It's very high. I always tell them, like, look, man, work on you. Do you? You pick which woman you want. I'm not saying you can't marry a single mother. You need to be well aware of what you're up against. If you marry a single mother, it's a bad deal. Being a stepfather. Now, am I wrong for that? What do y'all think about that?
Well, I don't think ideal, but it is problematic in the situation with where the stepdad is, how involved is the real father, where he's at and everything else. My thing is the age. You know what I'm saying? Like, am I coming into you where your kid is 5 years old? Is your kid 10, 15? You know what I'm saying? Because for me, I feel like that makes it harder to be a stepdad, especially if your kids are teenagers, because they already know you're not the real father. There's going to be that day that says, yo, you're not my dad, and they'll tell you exactly. So, but at the same token, when you're in your 20s, for me, I was in I want to go out. I want to travel. I want to do so many stuff. And I feel like if you enter a relationship, she has, it will hinder that, but it's be to where you could do it. Not going to be every week with the fellas, she's going to be expecting you to help you out with the kids and everything else, or why you're not doing family time, why you're not taking children to the park or taking them to do this and taking them to do that. Your 20s, I feel like just enjoy life, get it all out of your system, get all, feel like you want to settle down, so be it. But for me and you want to do this and that. I've seen people that married in their 20s and broke up because when I'm 23, I still want to go. When I'm 25, I still want to meet up with the fellas at the bar or at the strip club. I still, if I'm 26, I still want to do this, Sometimes it happens, people make it work, but there are other times where it's just it's out. Like for me, college experience never happened going to school. College experience, I'm sure if I would have, definitely wouldn't have been no girlfriend at all. Like fraternity, party, doing this, doing that. And I feel like in your roaring 20s, that's what it's about. But some people make it work. But I think if his mindset is I like to go out, enjoy spending my money, enjoy doing the things that I like to do, then that's how it should stay. But don't be, you don't have to be,
I'm a little, I don't know. I'm trying to think how, because I come from a single mother, right? So I look at it from that perspective. But I will say, being a single dad and then a mother becoming a stepmother is a lot easier. I think it's a lot easier for women to accept a kid or a man with kids. It's more, they kind of like that in a sense because, okay, hey, he has kids and he's not leaving. Okay, we know for a fact, check mark, he's a good check mark to that, right? And then kind of see how kind of a dad you are in a sense. So I think it's easier for a man to be a single dad and find a woman, a good woman too, versus the other thing. And I think too, when you're talking about like a man, you know, 25, and I would call that a young man still, right? You're still young, and I would sit there and say, like, I don't know honestly if it's good or bad. I would say it all depends on a how you met that woman. What was your current relationship like meeting her? If you met her at a club and then you're out with the boys like Izzy's talking about and you're having a good time and then you find out she has like a 2-year-old or something like that, that's almost in a sense false advertisement in that kind of like a terms. You know what I mean? Because I met you being free. You met me being free. You know what I mean? If we meet someone at the club, you kind of know what this is. Like we're kind of free, we're having fun. Now, if I met you at a carnival or I met you at like, you know, I was working at a store, I saw you with your kid, I think that's a little bit different. I had my first daughter when I was 23, and I will say this, like the moment she, like to this day, very vivid when she came out, changed my life for the best. Like my oldest daughter changed my life beyond belief, magically. I would never imagine, and I was 23. Like I needed her to come and like she made me better, right? Like 100% hands down, emotional kind of thing. Like that's my daughter. So that's why it's like 25. But like I said, I would say it depends on how they met. If they met that woman and she was in her element as in a woman, a mother, nurturing, then that young man knows exactly what he signed up for. But if he met her at a bar, clubbing, if he met her kind of through friends, and like there was like, you know, because there's sometimes where, and I understand why a mother would do this, but she may not even let oh boy know that she even has a kid before 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dates. I mean, you could know a person for 6 months and not even know they're like that. Then at that point, I think you're asking too much of the young man. Like tell the young man you're getting yourself into a predicament because you never met her who she was. You never had a chance to say yes or no. You had to meet her, like her, and then evolve into this next part. And I don't think your brain is really, because I don't know about you, Marcus. I would love to hear your point, but you know, for both my daughters, it didn't struck me until like they were physically born and I saw them that I was like, I'm a father. Like my first daughter again, pregnant and all this thing. I'm like, yeah, I see. I mean, I see the sonogram, I see all these things, but until the moment she came out and I saw that and I heard her cry and I saw that, then I was a father. Right. And even I've talked about this with Izzy. The moment my second daughter, my youngest daughter, was born, I had to look myself and be like, oh, I'm fucking up in life. Like I got another human being that's counting on me. I'm fucking up. Like I got to get shit together. Right. But that's why I think as a man, we don't come into fatherhood until we see the kid. So I don't at 25 coming into another relationship with a young, like, you know, 2-year-old. But I think at 2 years old still, like Izzy was saying, like it depends on the age, you could fall easily head over heels in love with a kid at 2, 4. But if they're 10, 11, 12, and you're dealing with someone who's half your age, I don't know how you can connect mentally, like what you're saying, because you got to connect, regardless or not if these are your kids or not. You have to connect. And I mean, you have kids, so you're connecting with them. But I've had friends that have, you know, kids, and you know, trying to connect with a 15-year-old is kind of like, I don't know what to do. Yeah, I got an 8-year-old. I know how to connect with an 8-year-old and a 13-year-old that are my kids, and so that. But how do you meet with a 15, 16-year-old kid, and you're automatically with their mom? So they're smart enough to know what's going on. They're not dumb. You know what I mean? Like they know. It's like, hey, you know, like you meet them for breakfast. Like, what's up? You know what I'm here for. You know I stayed overnight. Like you know, like.
Isn't the wind last night?
You know what I mean?
The wind wasn't howling last night.
Yeah, you know, you start talking to them, I'm a beast kid, like, you know, another nonsense. It's like, what do? Johnny's not your friend, but at the same time frame, Johnny knows why you're here.
Let me say this. If I meet some mom in the club around 2 a.m. with a 2-year-old kid back at home, that's a fucking red flag right there. Your ass better go back home, take care of you. For real. No, but I mean, it's doable. It's doable.
What do you think, though, Marcus?
That is would be a step. Oh, they're 15, 16 years old. I have stuck it through to 18, 19. It is doable because of the fact that he loves his wife and she loves him. And they will, God bless that they had their own child. It is doable. People he met when he was a little bit more mature. So in the 20s, I just can't see it. I call it soldier.
And that's what I'm saying. That's my whole point. And a lot of people often I say this, or when anybody says it, because there's so many single moms out there. But here's the thing: I have sons, and I think, I think we are too quick to throw our sons away. We're too quick to sacrifice them. We never tell our sons that you're valuable. We just tell our women that they're valuable. I mean, turn your TV on. How often do you see a black man being lifted up? You always see our women being lifted up. We tell our sons, you go out here. No, I tell my sons, you make the best deal for you. Make the best deal for you. If the best deal for you is waiting till you're 30, 35, 40, well, make the best deal for you. But don't go out here and in your 20s get yourself in a situation with a person who has obviously not made a good decision. When I say single, married and got divorced and had kids, I mean women that had kids out of wedlock. Right. He's problematic. They got stuff going on. That's what I'm talking about when I say single mom. I'm not talking about the woman that got married, they had a kid, and they get divorced. That's a whole different situation. Before anybody gets mad, why does my son, 20 something years old, have to himself to raise another man's child? Why is he have to? Because every dollar he makes, 50 cents of every dollar goes to another man's child. And people get mad when you say, well, this is more than money. No, money matters. And then on top of that, she could up and leave him and he's raising his kids, doing everything. And they divorce, the kid's gone. That's not your son. That's not your daughter. You have no legal right to that child. And now he's heartbroken. He's all these things that nobody thinks. It's all about love. And marriage is a business. I love my wife, but marriage is a business also. And when you marry a woman who has a child, it's problematic for to walk right in there. You don't know what it is to be a father. You barely know what it is to be a man at 25 years old. Yeah. And you're gonna walk in and be somebody's daddy? And then if you marry a woman who has an older daughter, I don't even talking about. It could be problematic. He touched me. He looked at me funny. Oh. I'm not gonna tell my son to take that deal. I'm gonna say, hey, look, if you can help it, move around. If you fall in love and whatever, and you all those things, and you at risk, but understand it can be problematic. That's all I'm saying. But every time I say they feeling, go ahead, bro.
You got to understand that it is his decision. At the end of the day,
of course.
You're going to give your advice, you're going to give your opinion, and whether he chooses to go through on it, like you said, you know what I'm saying? And it sucks sometimes because we are more mature and we have an understanding that we could see where he's going to be if things don't go. His situation broken and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, they always come back running home to mom and dad. That's the nest. But sometimes, and I've seen this in the past, you gotta fall on their face, learn not to do it again. I have to let the little giraffe walk and learn how to walk, so that way he could know whether it's going to be good or not. Oh, because yeah. it doesn't take away either from the have different baby daddies. What do you do then?
What's that?
I'm saying
so my thing is this.
Baby daddies.
Got you. Now, my thing is this: when it comes to my kids, especially my sons, my job is not to tell them what to do. My job is to give them scenarios and make them think. And so that's my only goal, is to say, hey, son, think about this before you get too deep into it. You fall in love with the kid and all this stuff. Think about the scenario that could play out. Now, whatever decision he decides to make, that's on between him, his God, and his wife, whoever he decides to marry. But as a father, I feel like it's my job to lead. He say, hey, son, did you consider this? Can you talk about this? My son's not even dating anybody right now. He ain't worried about girls. He's so focused on his future. But I'm constantly having conversations with my son, with my boys, and that's something that I tell them. Like, look, understand, this shoulder right here has been soaking wet with tears from grown crying because they got involved with a single mother. They've either broke up, divorced, kids. They fell in love with kids are gone. I've seen so many things, so many scenarios play out, and You gotta start. We gotta start thinking besides with our you know what you gotta look down the road a few. I think foresight is something that we lack
Right.
so involved in the moment that you don't think like, well, there's more to this that could happen than meets the eye.
You're
Absolutely.
man.
And let me ask, household, when you discipline your kids, means like,
Little Devin, like,
oh,
oh,
sorry, dad did that, or like
he he just
deserved that.
Always gotta be on the same page, man. I remember there was one time when my middle son was I think he was like 5 or 6, or maybe a little bit 6, I think, and he had hit his sister with this rod, this little rod, and put a mark on her back, and she was like 3. If he was 5, well, she was like 2. If he was 5, she was 2. And I just snatched him up, man. I snatched him up and spanked him real good. And she didn't like the way I snatched him up. But she was mad. He didn't say nothing. Him up, handled my business, and then, put him down. He, went on. And then we got in the room, and she was like, I don't like the way you snatched him up like that. And I was like, really? She was like, yeah, it was too forceful, in my opinion. And I said, okay, well, I won't snatch him up like that again. She said, yeah, you were right for spanking him, but I think you got a little beside yourself. And that was literally the one time in our marriage where she did not agree with the way I was disciplining the kids. But she knew we're united front. Because I mean, you gotta be united front. I didn't kill him. I didn't put a mark on him. She just didn't like it. But a lot of moms run in, no, don't hit my baby. Now the kid's like, oh, I got a mental advantage now. Kids are manipulative, man. They're master manipulators. They can get in between you and your girl, they will do it. You got to understand, y'all are on the same team. The kids are like the water boys on the team. They're not even on the team. They're part of the team. They're not on the team because
Drink.
they're gonna move on. You have to learn to work together. So if I the kids or something like that, she would definitely intervene. But that's never happened. I wouldn't do that. But
Yeah.
like the one time I remember in my mind when she didn't like the way I disciplined them, and she let me know. But she was very respectful. She waited till we were behind closed doors. She was
Good.
like, I just didn't like it. It made me a little uncomfortable. Okay, cool. Won't happen again. I see what you're saying. I did get a little frustrated. My little daughter's crying, and she's got like, what? Why would you do that? So yeah, that was the one time I went a little bit too far, and she checked me on that.
So two things I
like how you
emphasize. the other the other thing is, do you think that hurts relationships when they're not on the same page, or she calls the daddy out and everything else, like screw that, why you grabbed him like that, versus like how your wife did, she waited till you guys got into the room, talked about it and everything? Because believe it or not, there are a lot of parents that father would discipline, it would be like, "Oh hell no, you're not touching my baby. You're not doing this. You're not doing that." And they'll blow up right in front of them. You know what I'm saying? To the bedroom before they go to bed to talk about it and say, "Mate, like your situation, you should have never done that." So that is sort of that hurts relationship big time, or is that something that they could work through as long as they have those conversations to be like, "Hey, we need to be on united."
They can work through it. It is definitely a hierarchy in the home. Um, if she feels comfortable in just berating a man in front of his children, that shows you who the hierarchy in the home is: mom, children, dad. That's all. And kids know that, people know that, and that upsets it. So that's the beginning of it, end right there. Because if a man can't do what a man needs to do, and if he's gonna go somewhere else and start over. That's what's gonna happen. And so it's very important that women understand that. Look, if he ain't hurt, if he ain't physically abusing them, or if he just you know yell, it ain't nothing to flip out about. You got to get behind closed doors and get on the same page. You work through it. Couples can work through it, but what's gonna happen is that woman needs to understand that she's cutting herself off the legs. If undermine your husband's authority in the home, then that means that you got to be the authority in the home. And guess what? You ain't built to do it.
Yeah.
Pressure's made for sure. You ain't built for it. You ain't built for it. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's hard on a woman to be the head of a home. Mike, you come from a single parent led home, right? Did your mom look like she was just light and always in a good mood, and did she always seem like she was just in like this woman?
Actually, man, that's actually why I don't like very feminine, soft women. Like, if you look at every woman, you look at like why I got divorced and stuff like that, like those type of things, and like the women that it didn't work out with. That is 100% reason why I do not like a woman who is like damsel in distress. I don't like them dainty. I don't like a woman where she's like, hey, I like a woman who's like, I can handle it on my own, but you're here, that's it. But I grew up around a strong woman to the point now where she's older, she's not as strong. And I don't, that picture's not there. I mean, this is the woman who threw a knife at me, beat the shit out of me, and like lived like bruises and beat me, and now acts like it never happened. Like, that's the same woman to me. Like, she's like, the Carlos, like you have like George Lopez talks about like Mexican moms. Like, that's my mom, like legit fucking psycho. Like, there's a reason why she was a single mom, like, for real. And then nobody's asking for my family, so I don't give a fuck. But anyways, it's just real story. But like, like I come from that kind of family where the mom was legit both the father and the son. There's replications of that. Like, it's a ripple effect. Even now to this day, there's some things I'm just like, I'm used to this. I don't know how to handle, what I mean, da da da. But, because of that, I really don't like those kind of women. I've dated them. I don't like them. The women that get their nails done and match head to toes. For some people, I get it. But it's just like my personal taste in women is not that at all. And it's like I'm married to an Asian woman. So people would think automatically this is how it is. Like, no, actually, Asians are a little bit different. Like, they might in public seem like that, but it's that kind of thing where I need a woman who can endure, and that's kind of my like what attracts me to a woman is a woman who's like, like kind of like being military. Hey, I'm gonna leave and take off. Cool, I got this. And those type of things. But it does actually directly affect the way I view women. I view women that are weak and in like that is like I kind of like look down on them in a sense because that's not the woman. And we kind of always marry our mothers and stuff like that, and so like that's not the woman in my mind is a woman. The woman in my mind growing up and stuff like that I idolize and those type of things was there's no man here, so I'll do it both. And you don't cry, you don't do that. I'm gonna be pretty much a man in a sense with with the female body and that kind of thing. And it does not end well. Like, both, there's a lot of things of growth have had to happen from me to understand that my wife is becoming softer and more woman and more feminine, and that's the beauty of life. That's the beauty of evolution. And my wife comes from a very humbled background like I do, so it's like both of that is also growth to both a woman to be that hard and then to accept femininity as she gets older.
And I hear what you said about you referred to weak. You kind of made synonymous. And
Yeah.
that's the problem. That's the problem
Yeah.
with women. Women see other women, feminine women, as weak. They're not at all. My wife is feminine as it comes. This woman is tough as nails. She
Yeah.
did 10 years in the military, just like I did. Had three of my dinosaur babies. All those things. She's feminine. I mean, you saw her a lot. My wife's feminine as they come, but she is nobody's pushover. She's not.
Right.
Look, man. She don't push over. We literally sit down and have discussions about what's going. I'm the leader. She knows that. She'll acknowledge that. But that doesn't mean that I'm a dictator. That doesn't mean that I'm just what I say go. We have discussions. So I think it's that just like we talk about toxic masculinity, we have what a real woman should be and what it looks like because of situations like that. And that's not to catch aspersions on your mom or a situation, but I think the problem is that, and you said a buzzword for me. You said she was both mom and dad. No, she wasn't. She can't be. It's impossible.
Well, yeah, and I agree completely, and that's where, and not even to cut you off like defensive, like yeah, like 100%. Those were her words because to her she was right,
Yep.
and that one speaks of like my father in a sense where he let that happen. Now, do I know like when you were talking about it last time and you were like, there's two parts of the story. I was like, yeah, 100%. I don't know the other side. I've only heard one story, and I don't know the other side. It could be 100% her fault. We would never know. that got taken to his grave, it'll get taken to her grave, etc. But it's when you're talking about the mom and a dad, that is the thing that gets messed up in the head for a young man, because this is it. And like I've told a lot of people, the problem that I had as a young man, as a teenager, was the day that I became taller than my mom. She's 5'1", I think. So I'm 12 years old. I'm half white, half Mexican. So I got those little messed up little heads thing going on. But I'm also taller than most Mexican. Man, being a half breed, man, I'm telling you, man, that shit was rough in the '90s. Man, before it was cool to be a half, man, it was rough in the day, man. I grew up in the barrio, and like growing up in a Mexican neighborhood, and you look like I do. Like I don't look, Spanish. I look white. I look like I'm pale. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, it was not fun growing up in the '90s being half.
They call you widow. They call you what?
Vampire movies.
Yeah, I mean, Weddle, freckle juice, man, and like, what I mean? I got called names, and you're just looking around. You're like, damn, dude, like, what did I do to you? Like, I was just, what I mean? And as a little kid, like, like little kids will let you know that you don't look alike like them. And of course, man, that affected me for a long time, because I was like uncomfortable in my skin. And now that I'm so comfortable, if someone's like, you don't look Mexican, I'm like, I don't honestly don't care, man, because on my chest, my name, and how I carry myself, I have a family heritage that I'm bringing with me, so I don't care. But what I mean, that's like you again, all those things and those type of things of that happens, and a lot of that stuff. Like again, there was no man to sit there and say like, hey man, like it's okay. I had a woman tell me sticks and stones won't break me, and those things, but it wasn't told as a here's that. And going back to that thing of like a mother and father, that was a huge issue, right? And it comes from, I think, a woman's perspective of like, I'm having to pull both. And what I don't think is getting talked about is, as a kid, you feel responsible, like that's your fault, like I fucked up, like how'd I fuck up so much that now here's that. And as we're going to that one, I really want to ask you about something that I think that is really lacking in the men's community. And one of the things is how we talk to each other. The way we've talked tonight, we've made kind of fun of each other, but we laugh, we talk, but it's always uplifting. It's always like nice to each other, man. Like Izzy's a great guy, da, da. And we can say that thing, and it's not like he's a great guy. What I mean, it's like hey, he's a great guy. Hey man, da, da, right? Because we are comfortable, and we all actually celebrate our friend. But one thing I want to talk to you about that I don't think is getting talked about enough is how we talk to each other, like how we talk to ourselves. Because a lot of times, it's like how I look at myself in the future. Like I am going to be a millionaire. That's on my vision board. That's all those things. I will be this. I am going to be this. Not, I hope some. You know what I mean, like that. What do you kind of think about men going forward? And if you can also talk about younger men, but what do you think about that as far as how we actually talk to ourselves?
I each other terrible. I think we talk around stuff like you said. It's been a huge amount of respect on the because we're developed. We worked on ourselves, and most men are not there. Most peacocking, chest out. I can't have to hurt me. I'm just this big gorilla type thing. That's not the talk each other. Men need to first network. Like my network meets your network. We help each other get to the top. That's the way men should do. And the only way to do that is an immense amount of respect. Also, and so I think that if we can ever get ourselves together where we can actually, say, hey, man, Izzy, I love you, bro. I mean that. I love Izzy, man. Izzy, call me right now. I need you to come to Orlando. I'm on the next plane out there. What you need? What's going on? So, and like that instance we talked about last time where Izzy's dad died, like, perfect example of me not, what do I do? My friend's parent, I don't know what to do, so I just walk off. I mean, come on, like, the way we talk to each other these days, we're always trying to one-up one another. Always, I got this, I got this girl, I got this money, I got this. And we constantly trying to that's good, man. How can I help you? Or, hey, Mike, you got this going on. How'd you do that? How did you get? We don't want to humble ourselves. We talk to each other in a way that's respectful, and we can make a time place for everything. But there has to be a huge amount of respect with men. Make no mistake about it. When you're dealing with other men, there's always a threat of violence there. There's always a threat of violence. You might get punched in the mouth. That's what our generation, before social media, Like you talk crazy to somebody on the basketball court, you can get punched
Yeah. Yep.
after, but
Easily.
and they think they can say whatever they want to say. So we have to one another as men. And what was the second part of the question?
Just kind of like, well, even going about what you're talking about there, right? Like talking to ourselves, like what do you think it is about like how we talk to ourselves is what makes us in the future? And what I mean by that is like kind of that concept, like I will be this, I am like, and I'll kind of I'll say this part, how like in 2015 got out of the military, and in 2013 got a lot of depression, and living off of a star card, like we were doing bad. I told Izzy before this, like when you're living off of a military star card, shit's fucked. Like you are
Yep.
in trouble. That is like the danger, all that stuff, right? So that's where we're at as a family, like bad debt, and we're living off a star card. And this was before star card was at a commissary, so we're not even eating good food. We're eating Taco Bell, so we're not even doing good at that either. But I was listening to a lot of Tony Robbins trying to change myself. And they talked about like in World War II how they would get, prisoners to actually come into their side by changing about how they identify who they are. So back then I started doing it. I've tweaked it a little bit, but mainly I like, I'm a husband. Number one, I'm always a husband. And that's the biggest thing. Number two, I'm a father, right? Those are, and the order matters to me. Number three, I'm a good man, right? And the fourth is I'm a veteran, right? And so I believe in those concepts. A, I'm a husband. Why? Because if I believe I'm a husband, I'm not acting a fucking fool. I'm not embarrassing my wife. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to stay married. If I say I'm a father, I'm taking care of. Like I gotta mold the next generation, right? And a good man is what I believe is kind of lacking. Where I can sit there and say I'm a good man. Like I'm trying to be best. Do I make mistakes? 100%. And what I want to ask you is like that idea that we don't actually believe in ourselves to tell us these things because we need to hear that you're a good person, right? But society doesn't teach us like as young men we're taught we're aggressive, we're da, 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 you wrote a whole book of kind of why this whole thing is going on. So my thing to you is really like, what do you think is about us, like, or actually, honestly, another thing, what do you think makes a good man?
That's your first question. You talk. To make that
Yeah.
self talk. Yeah, I could go all day. I believe in self talk, man. They did a study years ago, and you're always talking to yourself in your head. You don't even realize you're doing it, but you're always doing it. And 90% of it is negative. It's negative. Negative. Instantly, you will have the outcomes that you saw that you say. So you're right. You gotta change your language. You gotta change the way you talk to yourself. I do the same thing. I will. Sometimes I pull up to my house and say, "I'm a good man." I go up my day. I'm a good person. I'm a nice guy. I tell myself those things, and you'd be surprised at how attracted people are to you. They want to be around you. They hang on every word because you just radiate positivity. We're doing that, and we as men, we live in a world where you're constantly told, like you said, you're aggressive, you're toxic, you're too masculine, you're this, you're abusive, you're this. But you'll feel that every day, and it will make you cower as a man. You ever seen a beaten man before? You ever just seen like a man that's just beaten? It's sad to watch, and that's where a lot of men are headed. Like you said, you gotta change the way you talk to yourself. You gotta change the way you view yourself. The only way you can do that is to feel good about yourself. Work on your intelligence. Right now, I'm working on my body, getting myself back in shape. So I can feel good about myself. So I can all those things, just that total package. That's what I'm driving. All men just strive for that, to be intelligent, assertive, confident. Now those things it's like catnip to women, also catnip to other men. If you're gonna be a leader, you gotta be able to inspire. So to answer your second question, what makes a good man? A good man is somebody who's self-aware. If you're not self-aware, if you don't know your strengths, weaknesses, threats to you, what do you call it, SWOT analysis, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. If you don't know those things about yourself, if you're not self-aware, I walked around in my 20s and was totally, completely not self-aware. I didn't know why I was frustrated. I didn't know anything, and I never took the time in my early 20s to really sit down and on myself. So when things started coming at me, I didn't know what to do. And so what makes a good man is he's also unselfish. He also strives to be the best leader he can be. Not everybody. I truly believe leaders are born. I don't think you can. I don't think you. Everybody's not a leader, but you can practice leadership principles. You doesn't mean natural born leaders. You've met them. You've seen them. I've known drug dealers that were natural born leaders. Like so, you can practice. I think that's important. Another characteristic that I find that's important for a good man is to be well read, but we all know that. I think it's useful to everybody around you. You gotta be useful. You gotta be assertive. You know, and like people don't like that word, but if anybody that comes around me knows nothing, no task is too small for me. I made a lot of places in life just by being humble. If you need me to change the tire, I ain't got no problem changing the tire. I can cook, I can clean, I can mop, I can do anything in the house. I can't do is do my daughter's hair. I can't do my daughter's hair. But I think those characteristics, humility, being humble, you know, but you ain't got no. You can be assertive and also be humble. So I think those are some good characteristics there, Mike. I mean, I can give you 10, the top ones for me.
Yeah, I think it's dope, man. I think like there's, I have the on my poster on the back wall is like 12 rules for life from Jordan Peterson, right? Like I think it's just general things that have some different things to aim for. And like I said, there's so much more information from other men they've left out there, and they're in books. And so when you're talking about well read, like being well read and stuff like that, like I got the vision board from a Steve Harvey book, man. I like what I mean. There's so many people that have dropped so many different nuggets. Like today, I finished a 4 hour work week, and I was like, man, you know what I mean? Like that's right. I needed to hear that information, and I think a lot of people, and I think this is just in general, but I think for men specifically, like if you want people to not necessarily follow you, right? I think if you want people to associate with you, like you said, man, there's nothing more. And I'm with I have a different like a group with another couple other men, and I feel pressure to produce. Like I feel pressure to sit there and say, hey, man, I'm doing this because they're the same thing too. We're doing this, and that pressure is like, dude, man. Ever since we've gotten to this group, there's 4 of us now. And we start talking, like everyone's like, I'm doing this. And it's like, it's almost feeling like if I do not do something else, I'm out of the group. Even with Izzy and myself, we've kind of been talking like, the more we talk, it's like, we're kind of okay. At first we're talking about the podcast being this, like now we're talking about this, and kind of it's almost getting to a point where if I'm not producing, I'm alone, and that's kind of a weird feeling as a man to sit there and be like, man, I got to be with these other men because we're not one person's writing. We're all together and we're all escalating. And man, it feels good to be with a group of men that are achieving, striving, and doing those things. Because it's like almost like that's what we're meant for, right? Like it was meant to have this kind of conversation and be elevated and then go forward.
You have to. You got to. Yeah, iron sharpens iron. I truly believe you cannot sharpen iron with butter. You can't sharpen iron. You have that grinding, man. You got to have that friction. You got to have that. And if you don't, you got to fight. You got to fight. For years, I was a loner, man. I was a lone wolf. Um, I had men that were pushing me, not in the right direction at least. I had men that would tell me I didn't have men that pushing me. Now I have that group of men. It's amazing. They're amazing, and we bounce ideas off of each other. We disagree. We this and that. We hold each other accountable, and I think that's another factor that accountability. If you're not accountable, man, you can never reach your full potential. You just can't do it. You gotta have somebody saying, hey, what the freak are you doing, Mike? You sitting down today, man? You ain't work out today. You ain't read a book. You ain't do it. What you do? And it pushes you to get that version of you. Like for me, I looked in the mirror one day and I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like it, man. I was like, man, I want to be Karl Malone again. Like I don't look like that guy anymore, man. And I struggled for so many years and gave myself excuses because of my knees and this and that. And a good friend, he put the comment, the males to men in the comments. That he dude's a fitness beast, man. And he's somebody I strive to be like when it comes to fitness. And I said, man, I gotta do better. I gotta raise these kids. I want to be able to play with my grandkids. And it's there. And I'm not walking. I apologize. I said I have failed you guys. I failed you. And she did the white thing. No, yeah, I did. Don't let me off the hook. I failed. Man, you didn't marry this. I set myself on the path, and I'm working every day, working like a dog to get to where I'm comfortable with me. Because I want to be on stages one day. I want to have 1 million followers on 5 more books out there. And I don't want to be rolled up to the scene. And everybody's like, this is the guy who's talking about masculinity. I want
Right.
teach it. So I completely hear you, Mike, and you on a great path, man. I believe you're gonna be a millionaire. I can see it. I have no questions about that whatsoever. Just don't forget me.
Don't
Give me a job.
just don't forget the little people.
Actually, as we're hitting the 2.5 hour mark, there's something actually I want to talk to you afterwards about this. Actually, I've been really contemplating it, so I really want to talk to you about it.
Okay.
But we're at the 2.5 hour mark. I think Izzy is not. I don't know what his status is, but his head has been nonstop bobbling. So I think he's good. Like he's feeling really good. Yeah.
No, not what Mike is just saying. Still got some ways to go.
Now, Izzy, if you could end the show with telling Marcus, and hopefully he hasn't heard this one, about the tequila snorting story.
Oh,
We'll call that a wrap if you can tell that one.
okay. So I'm gonna share 2 stories. I'm gonna share another one since self-talk. So when I was in Vegas, I had a OIC who used to come to work, and what he would do, I didn't know by his office. So as I'm walking by his office, I hear him telling himself, you're gonna be a good you're gonna excel at work today. You're gonna do that. Like, fuck is he talking to? Like, who's he telling that to? So as I walk past his office, I look and he had a mirror cabinet on his desk, literally looking in the mirror, motivating himself to be like, you're gonna have a good day. And I just thought, like, I didn't even think about the soft talk. I didn't think motivate himself. I looked at it as like, yo, this mofo is crazy. Because that made it seem like we were bad seeds. Because why are you motivating and then work along with the controllers or talk to us? Like, we fuck up fucking to motivate yourself to come in and be able to sit down with us after you motivate yourself. So the tequila snorting story, when I was in Travis, the dorms were co-ed. So my suite mate was a female. So it was kind of cool because that led me to meet. So anyway, she had a boyfriend who was like 6. He was in the Air Force Reserves or Guard. You know, the dorms, if you boyfriend girlfriends, if they came to visit, you would keep them in your room. Hopefully the dorm manager didn't come through, or bay orderly or whatever. So since me and his girl was mates, talked basketball, and decided one time to let's go to the bar. So we went to this bar right outside of the base. It's like around 1:10. So last call is at 1:30 because everything 2. So we get there around 1 o'clock. 1:10 hits, and the bartender last call. So the guy looks at the bartender. He goes, "Let me get a shot of tequila," because I was like, "Hey, let's do. It's gonna close. Let's try to get fucked up as quick." So he orders shots of tequila. I take mine like a normal person, right? I take it, chug it, the lemon, the salt, whatever. He takes and he turns it over. Bartender to pour the shot on the bottom of the shot glass because they had like that little, sort of on the bottom of the shot glass. So he tells her, pour it on there. And I'm looking at him like, why the fuck are you doing that? Marcus, this guy goes down shot glass, puts his finger in his nose, and snorts the shot. 7 of those motherfucking shots in less than 5 minutes. A snort shots from the bottom of the shot glass, the bowl. And then after the 7th shot, he looks at me, he goes, "Izzy, I can't feel my face." And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He's like, "I can't feel my face." He's like, "I don't feel nothing. I don't feel." So I fucking went and I smacked him. And I say, "You feel like, I don't feel that. I don't feel that. I'm like, are you sure? So I smacked him again, and he's like, I don't feel that. Let's go home, man, because apparently you're way fucked up. You're gone right now. Like you're done. Only, only people will fucking think to like, yo, we only got the time left. Let's to get drunk real quick. But Marcus, my dude, my brother, again, thank you for taking the time to be with us. Appreciate you passing on your knowledge, your wisdom, and everything else, sharing your stories, your narrative, and whatnot. I mean, it's it's crazy how far you have come. I'm really like I said, glad. I can't wait for your next book. I love the first one. Please give Chantel, give the wifey a happy birthday, blessings from us, happy birthday. I hope your son makes a smart decision. Tell him, like I said, don't be a fallen soldier. Enjoy life. Do your thing. Or have him call me. And believe me, that problematic situation will go away real quick. But seriously, Marcus, much continue to meet the Simmons. I hope you guys come back on. I love you and your wife, you know, having relationship talks, marital talks, and everything else. I think it's great that all of us are doing a platform like this to spread the word, to spread, you know, that knowledge, give that insight, that perception that some people are not realizing or seeing or not getting at it from home or anything else like that. But thank you, my brother. Thank you so much for saying. Thank you so much for being on, and even from the previous episode and coming on to this live session. Me and Mike really do appreciate it, man, and I'll be looking forward to your next book. And much love, bro. I really do appreciate it.
Same here, man. Thank y'all so much for the opportunity. It's always a good time catching up, man. Meet new people. Mike, love you, man. I really like your attitude. I can't say enough, man. I think you guys got something special here. Thank you guys for having me. Anytime y'all want, I can just let me know. I'll jump on. Anytime y'all want, man. I'm a fan for life. I'm still listening. Man, I was dying laughing. Man, I think we're crying. Club podcast, that's hilarious, man. So I'm still getting through you. I want to get through your whole catalog. So just look, we don't. We're trying to get people to come over there and
appreciate it.
Nights, those likes and those views probably coming through, subscriptions hopefully. But thank y'all so much, man. And then when we do relaunch, you guys are gonna be some of our first guests.
Yes, let us know.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys,
Well, definitely.
man.
Again, appreciate it, man. Like man, it's amazing to talk to people because one of the things, like the biggest takeaway that I took away from everything, and it is, man, you glossed over it so fast was your eye. I was telling my wife about it. I was like, he went for school with an eye and typing, like just that mentality alone. And the crazy part is, you just talked about it like it was just like I woke up one day and then I was putting on my pants and I went to go save the world. So I'm like something so small and insignificant is like, no, man, like you were like, that is scary. Like if I got LASIK and at one point they put so much pressure on your eye that you don't see nothing no more. And it's only 10 seconds, but for 10 seconds, like you're kind of like a panic. So I can only imagine what that was like, knowing that's for a while. You never said, okay, it was like a week. You never said anything. Like you glossed over it so much. And it's like that's my biggest takeaway is like we have these things that happen to us and they're life-changing things, but in the grand scheme of things, they're just like putting on your pants that day. It was just something you had to do to get to where you're at. Right. And I think that speaks volumes of where you're at right now, where again, that I think could have definitely taken you down, or that could have been a bigger part of your story, which again, it just happened. No big deal. I'm just going to type with one hand of the like over the eye because I need to see to get this thing. And I think that's like, I wonder if at that point for you, that was kind of the thing where the life started tipping the other way to where you're at now, growing and stuff like that, because plenty of excuses, right? I mean, there's plenty of excuses, and then to choose not to. And then again, on your current adventure, where you're again, we got Meet the Simmons, y'all got things coming, you got books, the wife has a book, like it's, you put yourself for when people talk about you, when people look at it, elevating and seeing the evolution. Now you can see it's almost like a live EPR in a sense. We can see you elevating to that point, right? And man, wish you nothing but the best of luck. I can't wait for more stuff. And like I said, that's why I'm happy to have met you. I think it's amazing. I think what you're talking about, not many men are talking about at all. And more importantly, more women need to understand the same thing too, because we're all having the same issue because we're not communicating. But I like that you don't let men off the hook with sitting there saying you're a bad boy, you're this and that. Hey, they're also the guy who provides too much. Hey, fucker, like you gotta actually do more.
Yep.
And so, man, wish you the best of luck on everything. Glad to talk to you more. I want to talk to you offline about a couple of things.
Yeah.
Get your opinion on a couple of things. But man, love like that stuff. So again, we got Meet the Simmons, right?
Appreciate you.
If you could shout out real quick all your social media stuff.
At Meet the Simmons 1, Facebook, and you can actually go to our website, www.meetthesimmons.com, and you can order books from Amazon or from the website.
All right, so meetthesimmons.com.
Yep.
All right, so that's gonna be in the chat room, or it's gonna be in the chat. Go look up on there, and then definitely on Amazon for the book. Man, amazing, great things you're doing, and publish. You're doing that. The wife has a book, so man, definitely some thought. Y'all do marriage counseling, right? So y'all have that service going on as well, and that can all be reached from your website.
Yep. Contact
Awesome.
us.
All right, guys.
Or DM, whatever you want to do.
Much love, fan, man. I really appreciate. Love you.
Thank you, man. Oh, man.
All right, cool. Just ended it.